me see here. If what if I turn off the dark mode? So I'm a little late, guys. All 0 of you that are in here. Um, it's been an interesting day. It's been an interesting past few days. Not particularly in a good way. And if nobody joins in this, I'll probably just fucking delete it because I was super late getting to this. Um, but yeah, man, it's let's see. Ooh, there we go. There we go. Jesus, that's fucking bright. Um, I'm on Grok right now, generating some images. Hello to whoever just joined. Um, man, it's been a day. It's been a pretty crazy past few days. I don't know if you watching remember the saga of this fucking country concert that I worked at. And, usually they pay me the night of, and I found out they weren't paying me for a couple weeks. Well, it's been 3 weeks since that couple weeks, and it turned into such a huge clusterfuck. None of the other people that worked that show got paid either. But of course, I don't find this out until, a few days before my fucking rent's due. And I was really counting on that check. So, your boy is now in the position where I have to come up with $600 to $700 within 48 hours. I've got no fucking clue how to do it. But the thing is, y'all, don't really care. Because what I've found is, without getting too fucking law of attraction with it or anything, the more you seek, the more you like want something, and I mean want in the most selfish of terms, the less of it you get. It's like, when you don't need it to rain, it rains. When you want a bunch of money, you can't find a bunch of money. When you're single and you want to go get laid, nobody wants to fuck you. And then when you have a girlfriend, everybody wants to fuck you. Like, that's just the way the fucking universe works. And so I've just been like, for the past 4 months, dude, I've just been panicking about money, which I'm not used to. I'm not used to pretty much my whole life. Like in high school, I had 2 fucking jobs the whole time. Like, I've always been employed. I've always fucking figured stuff out. And it's just like, dude, these past 4 months, it's just been insane. And I feel like it's genuinely because I've just been like focusing too much on like wanting money, and that's like clouding, and not even wanting money in like the I want a Benz, but like wanting money and like I need fucking money. I'm not making enough money and I need money. So anyway, so that's what I've spent most of the day doing, is trying to figure out how to come up with fucking $600. Shout out H2O. Saw this video of this dude, this Instagram account, and this guy's like, day 5 of trying to unfuck my life. He's like this 22-year-old. He's got like $50,000 in debt. And he's just like day by day, just talking about the little things that he does. And it's pretty inspiring, I gotta be honest. I shared his story. He like hit me up. He was super nice. And it just low-key got me inspired, man. And I've been in this position before. So, it's just how things go. But I wanted to get on here and I wanted to talk about sort of like, I don't know, man. I just kind of wanted to get your guys' opinion on some stuff, because I'm sort of in this weird position now to where I've basically I am 37. So like, yeah, I'm going on 40. No excuse to be this broke, but I've got plenty of them. I've been I'm pretty much confirmed that I'm shadow banned. Okay. Now, on X, that's not the case. On YouTube, it's for sure the case. And, it comes with the territory. When you talk about the stuff that I talk about, it is what it is. But that makes it really frustrating for me when it's like I want to. Why am I shadow banned or why am I 37? um, I'm shadow banned. I would imagine just because of a lot of the Israel stuff. What's playing on the TV is just my logo. This is just a visualizer I made. Um, it's I made it a long time ago actually. I really enjoy it though. I really like it. The spinning Timeline Junkie logo. That was actually the first time I made the logo, and it's like a 3D asset I made of it, and then screen grabbed it, and then the video behind it is a play on the what's it called, the scramble suit from A Scanner Darkly. So anyway, uh, I've come to realize that the powers that be, whoever they are, they don't. When you get shadow banned on one platform, it's not like you're perfectly okay on the other ones. There's differences for sure, but a lot of things are tracked like by your IP address. So I've made all these accounts with roughly the same emails and in the same place, and it's gonna fucking follow me around wherever I go. I keep getting trapped under these like ceilings. Like I've been trapped at like just under 7K. Uh, well, Lucky Larry would send some flags to us there. That's what's crazy about Lucky Larry. I don't even think it's that controversial. Like, I'm not the first person to talk about fucking 9/11 being an inside job, but I've been trapped right under 7K subscribers on here. I've been trapped right under 10K subscribers on fucking X. Let's see. Shout out my dude Invisidon. Yeah, dude, like, I got up to like 9,989 today, and now I'm back down to 68. And this happens every motherfucking time. And I've really tried to be cool and not be like, they're out to get me, and it's blah, 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 blah. But it's just like there's some sort of throttling thing going on. And even if it's not like me being targeted and throttled, it's just like I've broken enough rules that I'm just not in favor. And and that's just how it goes. Same with IG. I've been trapped under 1,000 there. Now I understand, like, starting a new account, your first 1,000 followers are the hardest to get. So, I've done this before. I've had a lot of different Instagram accounts. And none of this stuff is like particularly devastating to me because it's like, the difference between 9,968 Twitter followers and 10,015 Twitter followers, it makes zero fucking difference with the way the Twitter algorithm is. With YouTube, I have 7,000 subscribers, yet my engagement is fucking stupid low. And it's just because people aren't getting notified of my stuff. Now, like Lucky Larry, the pilot episode, that actually broke through to the algorithm, and people were telling me that it was on their like For You page or whatever. And so, regardless, with all this being said, I've really given a lot of thought to a starting a separate channel, and sort of entity that would be more of like the actual film studio that I'm planning on building, versus something that's sort of just me individually. Jimmy Dore. Yeah, I don't know that Jimmy Dore would have me on the podcast. I don't think he would. I think a lot of these guys love the trailer because ultimately it helps them when they see that a bunch of people like something and then they get to show it on their show. That helps them. And like, no disrespect to Jimmy Dore, I fucking love Jimmy Dore, especially because he, like, I mean, I probably got 3,000 followers just off of him sharing my video. So, but it's like a lot of these guys aren't like eager to get the dude who made it on their podcast. They just want the thing you made, which I get. That's fine. This would be so much better with tequila in it, but it's still pretty good. Yeah, so I'm just kind of like really worried, and especially with like late antiquity, it is for sure some of the most edgy stuff I've done, especially part two. Like, and you guys haven't seen part two. It is on my Patreon right now. And if you don't want to join my Patreon, you can just buy what I have of part two right now. It's $4. If you want to do that, that'd really fucking help me out right now. But regardless, if you don't, it'll be free eventually. I always try to release everything I have for free at some point. It's just like, oh, what's good, Michael? How you doing, bro? I always try to release my stuff for free at some point. It's just that if you want to see it, right when it's hot off the pan, you can pay me a little money. because ultimately it costs me time to do this shit, man. It doesn't. I don't really trip on like the cost of the AI tools and stuff like that, but it really just costs me a lot of time. And right now, the situation I'm in is because I've spent a lot of time doing this stuff and not enough time figuring out real world skills. And so anyway, uh, with late antiquity though, especially with the second part and what like the stuff I'm trying to put in this movie, like it's only going to make it worse. And and I'll be honest with you guys, I think that the shadow banning and the whatever that is, it's really I noticed it when I started talking about Trump. Like when I was really starting to shit on Trump more, especially on X and stuff like that. Um, I really started to notice that it was like, and so anyway, so I want to start a new entity. I'll probably keep these accounts up, but I will in the near future probably be funneling you guys over to that one, um, just to kind of have a fresh start and to have something that's like a little cleaner and a little less with my face, and like a Twitter that's a little more just like strictly content, and that I won't talk endless amounts of shit to people because I do that on Twitter too much. Like I get pretty fucking out of pocket on Twitter. I'm not gonna lie, um, and that's always been a downfall of mine. It's been a weakness, and I'm really trying to do better about it. Um, and I just realized that like when I am going on there and I'm just using Twitter like I'm just a motherfucker on Twitter, like that's like doing myself a disservice ultimately, and that's like kind of unprofessional and kind of lame. And I'm shooting myself in the foot for the momentary dopamine hit of dunking on somebody on Twitter or whatever. However, Twitter still shows my fucking videos to people for the most part. I've made a lot of no-nos with the algorithm, but I'm certainly not as bad as a lot of the other people. And like even in the past couple days, I mean, if you just do the reply guy stuff, it'll throw you back in. So like I always get some engagement, but with Twitter in particular, your followers just simply don't matter anymore. Like they just don't matter. And I think it was in a attempt to sort of combat bots or whatever, they sort of throttled down the importance of a person's follower count maybe. And there's always like accounts that keep up on this shit, which is so fucking psychotic to me. And it's also just so fucking gay that we have to do that now, that you have to like follow an account that will literally have to like have Claude go through the fucking code of the algorithm to like tell you why it's not showing people your shit. Like I don't know. So anyway, with because and let me just go into it so you guys can just sort of see the whole vision here. The process of pitching Lucky Larry to real studios has shown me that I pretty much don't ever want to do that again. I have been incredibly lucky in my experience with that, and it's still fucking annoying. And just like full cards on the table, even if we get this thing made on like the Hollywood scale of stuff, I'm still gonna have to fucking crowdfund this thing. Like I have to crowdfund this thing before anybody will even really take it serious, because the fact is nobody wants to be the first investors into it. Now the big sort of cognitive dissonance I have right now is, okay, well if I have to crowdfund it to get it made, and I honestly don't need a lot to get it made, why the fuck would I even mess with the Hollywood stuff after that? Now, of course, the first answer is money. If it becomes a little bit bigger of an independent film, especially the trilogy of films, and, I own it, and I own a good percentage of the rights to it, I could make a lot of fucking money. It could solve a lot of my money problems for years to come. However, given just like the direction the internet's going, and the direction that like pop culture's going, like I just don't think you're gonna be allowed to make shit like I make in 5 to 10 years. I think the internet will get so fucking locked down and just lame, and you can already see it happening. And I'm not a fucking like Jake Shields guy. Like I'm not Nick Fuentes. I don't fucking sit and just rant on the internet and, say crazy shit all day. But, my work, it definitely pokes at the people that are in power. And I've also talked a lot of shit about tech people. That's another thing too. I think more than anybody, I talk shit about tech bros so much. And it's mostly out of jealousy. Like I just wish I had a math brain and I could code and fucking make money. Like that's really what it is. Yeah, 2014 internet, boy, let me tell you what. That fucking 2011 internet though was something different. That was something different. We're talking millennial supremacy going on right now. Um, but anyway, internet, very gay now, very annoying. A lot of hoops you got to jump through, very gamified too. Social media now are like, they've kind of realized that they're sort of video games in a way. Um, and that's really, and when it started, it was more of like an art gallery. When it started, it was more like you got to go in and see all this different stuff and all these different perspectives. And now it's because everybody wants to be a person that's watched and not just a person that watches. They make it, it's a game. Oh, you got to get this, you got to do that. And same with YouTube. YouTube's terrible about that. About just like, oh, you have to have the right fucking incantation in your voice and you have to, and, you got to hook them in the first 3 seconds. And it's like, it becomes these sort of like urban legend myths that get passed around of what you have to do. Like I was on Instagram at the height of the SoundCloud rapper era as a rapper, and I would, I just tried to keep up on the algorithms because I didn't like social media. I didn't get an Instagram until I was like 26. I lived a pretty social media-less life up until, years after college age. And so I wanted to catch up and I just wanted to fucking, I knew I needed it. I didn't want to have it, but I knew I needed it. And I watched so many artists fail because they couldn't adapt with social media at all. And so I would like follow these accounts and I'd watch these other artists that are like, I would realize how quickly the algorithms get updated and changed. And I would watch these other accounts operating on like years old information and stuff like that. So what's going on, Chris? How you doing, brother? And so, actually, let me go back to the comments real quick. Make sure I didn't miss any questions here. What's what the influencer tards do? Dude, I should just buy bots, shouldn't I? No, that would really fuck me, actually. I don't want to do that. And like blocking bots, like I try to block every bot that I get. The other thing is too, like on Twitter, a lot of the people that follow you will hate follow you. Like they follow you just to keep an eye on your shit and just to shit on you because they want to do it first. They want to be like first to shit on you or whatever. So, I don't know, man. It's very weird. But going back to what I was talking about with Lucky Larry, right? It's like, if I have to, this episode is sponsored by Sour Patch, by the way. If I can raise $100,000, I can easily make. I mean, that's what I was going to ask for originally for the show of Lucky Larry, 10 episodes. I'm converting the episodes into 3 films. At first, this was a decision simply out of Hollywood would rather do that than make a show. And for a lot of reasons that I'm not even going to get into right now, but they actually make sense. And then it also turned into like, I know nothing about making shows. And I know way more about making movies. And I would actually rather this exist as a trilogy, something like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Matrix, versus, just like a show. And it kind of rejogged my brain and made it more interesting to me to convert it. And so right now we have one pretty big celebrity, a very fucking big celebrity, that is interested in the movie. But that person is like, well, okay, now we got to talk about how much you're fucking paying me. How much money have you raised? I don't want to be the only big person that's carrying this thing. Like, are you going to pitch to other people? And it's like this fucking big thing. And it took us a lot to even get to this person and to get them to see the fucking pitch we have. And And I'm like at this point where it's just like, bro, like I don't care. Like I don't care if there's a celebrity in it. I don't care if a studio likes it. I don't care if I get the best distribution company to do it. Like I honestly just want to make it. Like I really just want to fucking make the thing and get it done and sort of get it out of my system. And at the rate that it's going, if I go the big money route, it could be fucking years potentially. And I don't want that. I don't want that for you guys. I don't want it for me. Um, but also I want money. Like I do, like if this was the chance that I could personally make, a few $100,000 to possibly $1 million off of, like, yeah, I'd be kind of dumb not to try that, especially when I have plenty of other content that you guys also like and that I also want to make. Um, but also I'm like at this weird point where I'm just like, okay, let's say I pit, because right now also parallel to this, there's another fairly big celebrity, but it's more on the modern internet culture side that I have a chance that maybe I could pitch to that they could put some money behind it. And it would be really cool to do it with them. And I think it would be it's the best option so far that I've heard. But then I'm like thinking like, oh shit, what if they go to my Twitter? Like, what if they go to the Twitter and see me saying, I wish Iran had nukes, and saying like, fucking, just like calling people a faggot and just just Twitter shit, just doing like Twitter bro shit. And I really try to like chill out on that and stuff like that. $1 million is like 100,000. However, 100,000 is still enough to change my fucking life. So like, dude, please don't underestimate how fucking broke I am right now. So I'm kind of getting paranoid about like, oh, okay, if bigger people are looking at me and they're looking at my stuff, particularly Lucky Larry, which all things considered, not very controversial. Not it, it's the reason that people have even bothered to look at it on that side is because it's just like, it is, I mean, it's like 9/11 was an inside job. Jet fuel can't melt steel beams. Like this shit's been around forever. But if they go to my ex or if they see late antiquity, like, especially if, like people don't have the full context yet of late antiquity. Like the actual story I've got kind of laid out in my head. It's very different from how it starts. It starts one way and then it just sort of keeps changing. But it has to start very, very anti-Semitic. and and I'm truthfully not a very anti-Semitic person. I'm really not. I have one very, very close Jewish friend. I have a Jewish friend. I can't be anti-Semitic. But there's a purpose behind me talking about Israel and other stuff like that in this story specifically. And yeah, it is true. Am I anti-gape? Yeah. Yeah, I don't like gaping. Not cool with that. Not cool when other people do it either. I don't like that. Stop all the gaping. That's bad. Oh, well, of course, dude. We know they're not Semites, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying. And, it's not like fucking, like, dude, there's so many Jewish people in Hollywood that, like, couldn't give a fuck about any of this. They couldn't give a shit about Israel. They aren't Zionists. You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to get to the bag and they're trying to live like bros. Like, that's a majority of the people I've met. However, they're not always the people at the top of the food chain. So I'm really at this point to where, like, it's funny. Like, if you were to look at my stuff online, you'd be like, oh, this motherfucker's like pretty right wing. And then if you were to talk to me in real life and see my real life, people would be like, oh, this dude's not very right wing at all. Because the truth is, I'm a mix of both. Like, I am kind of a centrist in a lot of ways. And I don't know, man. I came on Twitter at a weird time. It was during the MAGA craze because I did stuff about Joe Biden MAGA people latched onto me, and my first big fan base push was MAGA people. And then I've got like I've got a good number of groypers that like my stuff now, but also a ton of fucking like groyper chuds that fucking hate me. This one dude, I gotta fucking find this. This one dude left a pretty scathing review of my stuff, and truthfully, I actually appreciated it. And this is a good segue into what I wanted to talk about next. But let me find it here. But this guy, he was like clearly like, he's got like a fucking statue as a profile picture. It's all like Deus Volk. It's fucking like the Roman Empire types. And don't get me wrong, I'm a Roman Empire type. I fuck with the people of Rome. Okay, strength and honor. Don't get it twisted. But these are the perpetual, you will never please me because I am the most far right, and anything that slightly makes me feel weird or challenges my own belief is clearly insidious gay communism. And so, that whole thing, those people you'll never please anyway. But I was also interested to hear what, what those people think. Okay, so here it is. The guy's name is Catalyst. Here's his bio. Noticing the narrative, nudging the egregore. I don't know what that means. Journalism and climate denialist. He doesn't believe climate exists. And I know what that means, but it's still just funny that it's like, dude, this is just as gay as like the Ukraine flag and the fucking having like free Palestine in your bio. Like it's just as gay. Geopolitics and dank memes. Can't remember the last time. Lacta elia est. The die is cast. Kind of hard, actually, if we're being honest. So let's see here. Here's his review. I do the they say right-wing art doesn't exist meme as if this was it, but I watched it all, and despite the edgy frog feel, this is the deepest left-wing agitprop slathered in based imagery, massive counterfactuals mixed with subtle mischaracterizations wrapped up in a slick AI package. -5 stars. For example, they have the Trump government saying groypers are the biggest threat. No matter what side you're on, no one thinks that could happen. Now, first of all, he's actually incorrect about that last part because it's the sort of Palantir Vance government that's saying that. And, but I thought it was really funny, the idea of it, or like somebody seeing this and being like, this is left-wing agitprop, because that's what made me really happy about this review. An egregore is like a social contagion. Joe, was I pronouncing that right? Like, am I saying that right? But I liked that he did say that, because for a second I was like, oh my God, they're on to me. Because late antiquity is about what happens when everyone starts appealing to their worst nature. It is super left wing. It is super right wing too. I wanted it to be the most like politically extreme movie ever. I wanted to show what happens when both sides are completely unleashed. What's the lore behind the coins changing? Okay, fuck it, we're all here, so I'll just give you guys a little explainer with it. In my mind, in the story, there are 3 timelines, and Earth is in all 3 of these timelines, and Earth exists. There's like these 3 parallel Earths, similar to like fucking DC or whatever. So there's the Abrahamic timeline, which is ours, and which is where most of the movie takes place. Then there's the Hyperborean timeline, and then there's the Tartarian timeline. So basically, the Hyperborean timeline is their timeline when it was the mud flood or whatever their big extinction level event is, doesn't happen, or they sort of move past it. And then the Tartarian timeline is similar to ours and is linked to ours in a way, but the time is like earlier. So like they will eventually get to the same point in time that we did, but it'll be different, but they'll get there later than we will. We'll already be in the future. And then the Hyperborean timeline is sort of outside of it. And the moonscope that the guy talks about, it's not necessarily a oh dude, I follow like 6 Hyperborean knowledge channels. They're all sick as fuck. I like just got into all this ancient civilization stuff too. So I'm not like a fucking expert on it or anything, and I'm basically just sort of using it as like just a way to pull off crazier shit. Um, and so the moonscope though basically can see into the future or see into the past, but you can't do anything with it. And it's doing it because it's always watching and it's keeping track of things that are happening in those timelines and making sure that nothing got shifted and wiggled and that it's not going to spin everything out. So the coins are basically sort of a artifact. They're like a relic that this guy who's a watcher of the machine, and he's one of the guys that keeps tabs on it to make sure that everything in the timelines is cool. His mentor gave him these coins, and these coins are sort of like they're like an unofficial sort of it's like what's the fucking phrase? It's like a superstitious thing. In the Hyperborean timeline, it's like superstitious. You know, like they have the machine, they have the moonscope, they can see what's going on in these other timelines, so they don't need these coins. But what the coins are just basically coins from different points of history, and somebody collected all of them to make sure that like money and stuff stays the same. So this is Hyperborean lore because the Tartarian mudflood bros are out there. Oh, dude, I know they are. Which is why I'm honestly not even like touching a lot of that stuff. Most of the story takes place like in our timeline. So when the coins become clipped, they realize that like the coins, like their timeline is shifting, and that the setup is that like Jews have fucking broken through the timeline, because if the coins weren't clipped, they would just everything would be normal. And so that's kind of an indicator. And it's like the same thing with like the fucking missing foreskins at the end. And so, and this, again, this is like kind of what I'm trying to set up here. Now, going back to the left-wing agitprop thing, it's just like, and it is Slytherin-based imagery. Like, that's why like I was kind of like, this is actually a pretty decent review. The negative 5 stars thing, though, it's like, come on, bro. Like, come on. What are we talking about? That's not fair. Like, it's at least fairly quality, I would say, for an AI movie. And just on the terms of the editing. And the music I think I've made for Late Antiquity is some of the best music I've ever made for a project. And it's honestly it's like my second favorite thing about getting to make these videos is making the music for it. Regardless, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter. But it's one of those things where it's like, it's such a ridiculous, absurd thing. And I'm trying to like, I want to keep this stuff absurd. I want to keep it like, oh, really? The fucking coins are clipped? Like, I'm trying to like take shit as far as I can. I want it to like almost be farcical, but do it in such a sincere, serious way. And so when I'm talking about this stuff, I had a really, really interesting conversation with, I guess I'll call him a fan. It feels weird to say that. And he left me this comment on one of my older videos. And it was really, really wordy, and it was just like, it was kind of word salady, and I kept reading it though. I was like, what the fuck is he trying to say? Like, because it seemed interesting. It didn't seem ignorant and stupid. It seemed, yeah, dude, the mason jar, come on. It seemed thoughtful. It seemed like, you know, and it seemed like he was trying to tell me something. And like, duh, he was commenting. But I couldn't stop reading it, and I didn't know what the fuck he meant. And because also you have to keep in mind, like, I've learned this about conspiracy people. Like, you'll have a post that's about one thing, and they will fucking post some shit out of nowhere that's like this like massive schizo rant. And that stuff is really annoying to me. I really hate when, like, it's one thing to like not be socially adept in real life. It's one thing to like, you know, be awkward in a conversation at a bar, or viewer is better than fan. Thank you. A viewer of mine. Although I believe he did refer to himself as a fan, but whatever. So anyway, I commented back and I was like, hey, dude, I've read this like 40 times. Um, I don't know what the fuck it means, but it feels important. Will you hit me up? And then I spent like the past 2 days talking to this guy, which I do to pretty much everybody that hits me up, by the way. It's always really cool to me to just see like what the fuck people's lives are like. I'm a very like voyeuristic person in that way, that like I'm just, I love people watching. I love like everybody I've ever looked at and like, never met, like just someone I see in passing, like no matter what, I make up a story in my head of like what their day was like, and like I'm just so fascinated by like the randomness of people. So anyway, he was sort of he was giving me constructive criticism, and I was sort of giving him some constructive criticism too, of just like, you can say things in a shorter, easier, less $10 wordy way. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, that was because that happened a few times with Letterhead, to where there was stuff that was in Letterhead that then came out later, and it was right. I like with late antiquity. I mean, first of all, in my head I always knew the U.S. and IDF were gonna like conjoin eventually. Like that seems sort of like a no-brainer to me, but it's just crazy that like literally the night before this happened and the weeks prior, I'd been planning this scene in my head that depicts this, and then it fucking really happens. That's sort of like a confluence, like, whoa, weird. And sometimes I have very irrational nightmares about somehow my films actually influencing the timeline we're in and stuff like that. Retarded, stupid, I know, but it's still scary. And so, hey, Dusty, my email's in my bio. Email me your script if you don't mind. And so, as ChatGPT makes AI pictures, it's over. Yeah, it is. Your grandma sounds lit, dude. So anyway, yeah, with late antiquity, oh wait, no, I was talking about the viewer. So he was basically saying like, hey man, like you're really good at what you do. Your videos are really good, but like you rant at times, and you have conversations that seem a little more like conversations that should be had with your close friends and not your fans. And I got to be honest, even after our conversation, like the general gist of what he was saying was very encouraging, very honest, and I really, really appreciated it. And he has now seen chapter 2 of Late Antiquity before any of you, because, I was just like, well, dude, thanks for taking the time to let me fucking trauma dump on you for a little bit. Because he just sort of caught me at a weird time, and I just started fucking dumping everything on this guy and letting him know what's going on and what I'm going through. But he confirmed a lot of what I've been feeling, which is I need to sort of separate out my content a little bit more. And just in a social media sense, or like pleasing the algorithm sense, that's true. Because they want you to have a niche. They want you to do one thing. They don't, the internet doesn't want you to be a million different things. They've got plenty of people. They want people to do their one specific individual thing. So I wonder if because like over the winter time, I was making a lot more videos that weren't AI. I was doing a lot of like just more sort of normal YouTube content. And those videos still never got nearly as many views as my AI stuff. And because that's not, most of the people that are here aren't here to watch me fucking whine about, getting a viral video or whatever. So I think he's right. I think that he's correct. However, I like whining about having a viral video sometimes. I like being able, because when I was in music, I would do this all the time. I would just go live and I would just sort of like rant and talk to people. And I really enjoy doing it. And I've always enjoyed being very candid. I've never had a problem being like vulnerable publicly. I was always done a lot of public speaking. I've done a lot of performing on a stage live for people. I've embarrassed myself on stage before. I've fucking, like I have no problem, uh, having a platform, talking to a lot of different people. I'm way more comfortable doing that than like talking to somebody in a bar or something. Um, and so what I'd like to do is have a channel where it would probably just be like my literal real name and just like talking about just boring fucking YouTube shit and something that I could monetize on there, and where I could just rant about stuff and I could just talk about the stuff I want to talk about, and I don't really have to worry about it being strictly associated with the Timeline Junkie stuff. And then the Timeline Junkie stuff, all the film stuff would go to, a different channel that would eventually be linked to an actual website, because I'm also getting very paranoid about, the YouTube thing getting nuked and like the IG account getting nuked, like really kind of fucked me and really scared me too, and made me realize that like, oh yeah, man, if I actually want to like make this a career and something I can support, boom. Michael, I don't know if you're still in the chat, but look at that dude's comment. Yes, I have thought about a Discord server. I'm getting one together very, very soon. I just don't like Discord. I'm on Discord. I'm in quite a few of them, and it's basically just a group chat, but like in scientific notation, and I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it. And so my dude in the comments, Michael here, he does like Discord, and he's going to help me with mine. And so yes, that is something that's also going on. So anyway, but the other part of all this is the Timeline Junkie stuff. I call it that because I made it. That's sort of the moniker I've always used for my nerdy, dorky little projects that I've done on my own. But the idea with the studio is like, I want to work with more people. There's only so much I can do myself, along with like being a present and decent father. And so, even 2000s forums, I fucking hate it, dude. Like, anytime that like anybody can get in there and it's like, oh, here, the thread actually starts here, but like you're down here. Ugh. I have like some kind of weird type of dyslexia where it's just like, I get instantly like frazzled. I'm just like, whoa. So, but I want to do the studio thing because I want to be able to make stuff to where people don't think it's me alone. I don't want to build a personal brand, so to speak. I want to build a brand, but I don't want it to be based around me and my personality, which is very flawed and has a lot of fucking problems, and gets in my own way a lot because I can't just shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, I can't stop doing this. And sometimes I fucking get on Twitter 5 seconds after I, wake up, and I've got to go landscape, and I'm a little bit grumpy, and that's when I start saying anti-Semitic stuff. And so that's not mature. That's not professional. That's not what a serious person does. And so I want to be more serious. And I want to take a hold of this better. Can you guys explain to me what the fuck GitHub is? Or what a Timeline Junkie GitHub would be? Here's the other thing. You guys don't understand my level of ignorance with the internet. Not in the sense of like how to use it or anything like that. Like the stuff I know how to use, I know how to use it. But the stuff that, like the different sites that there are to promote my stuff, like I've tried to get on Reddit 3 times to like put my stuff up there, and like it just gets fucking nuked instantly, and they're just like, no, get the fuck off here. I don't need a fucking GitHub. Okay, cool. Because I don't know, yeah, like what is a GitHub? But the other thing is with the studio, I want to start working with more people. I want to really start building like a team and an actual company that can start sort of, getting the machine rolling. because I want to make video games, man. Like I want to write graphic novels. I want to be able to hire people that are actual novelists. I want to sell books. I want to sell, like, I want to create a real ecosystem for the type of shit that I do. And apps and software builds. You're making media. Reddit sucks. Been permabanned. Yeah, Reddit. I mean, I know Reddit sucks, but like, there is a pretty big AI presence on Reddit, and but they just won't have me because it's like my stuff's too no. It's not all just fucking bland cyberpunk sci-fi shit like 90% of AI stuff. See, I just did it right there. I can't contain the shittiness. So yeah, so when the crowdfunding starts for Lucky Larry, which I'm going to make a video about and really sort of show everybody the perks and the tiers of like how you can help. I think I'm going to probably create a few new channels and whatnot and sort of spread it out a little bit more. And because a website's really important to me, and having a nice secure place where I can post stuff and I don't have to worry about, like, I want to have a place where only the people that like me can be. You know, that's what I like about my Patreon, even though I don't post enough kind of stuff like this to my Patreon. Because I also know a lot of the people that are even on there, they're just on there to fucking support me. They're not on there because they're scrolling Patreon every single day. You know, it's easier for me to go live on YouTube because it's just where everybody is. But even with Patreon, I'm really nervous about, you know, getting too big on there. And then, you know, because then when people know you're big on Patreon, you have a bunch of subs, they know you're making a lot of money. And that's where the haters come out of the woodwork. You know, I mean, shit, even old boy, Tyler Oliveri or whatever, like, he got his fucking Patreon nuked, and then they took his goddamn website. Like, they had Squarespace or who, you know, whatever provider, they just, like, whoop, they just, like, blipped him out of existence. And I don't want that to happen to me. And I certainly don't want it to happen to me before I have enough money to do anything about it. Came out of a single Air Force base. Yeah, dude, the Air Force base in like Alabama or whatever. Wasn't there like a power outage and like half of Reddit wasn't online that day? Well, yeah, and also wasn't Ghislaine Maxwell like one of the top people on there, like the top admins or whatever, or mods? So anyway, I want to get serious, man. I want to get serious. Because on some real shit, this is probably one of the last videos like this that I'll do where I sort of, you know, sometimes I just talk too fast and loose about personal stuff. And even with like money and stuff. But I've just always been that kind of person. I'm fairly gregarious and I can talk to strangers and tell them things. And, you know, and I like to be honest with you guys about what's going on in my situation. Same with like the fucking needing $600 thing that I was talking about in the beginning. Like that concert, really, the Ohio State University really fucked me. And someone in their payroll department, God forbid they ever hire me to mow their lawn because I'm going to fuck that lawn up. But anyway, I don't mind being like that. I don't mind being open and vulnerable with people, especially just strangers for the most part. Because it doesn't really, I don't know, it makes me feel good. And also it's usually served me pretty well. Because when I'm like that, people are comfortable coming to me and talking to me, and I like that. I like meeting you guys. I like knowing who's out there. You know, I like seeing what kind of jobs you guys have, where you fucking live, how old you are. It's all very interesting to me. Because I never imagined anybody would like the shit that I do. It's not that I thought that my stuff was bad or that it sucked. I just thought it was weird. And it was the type of weird that people were just like, oh, swing and a miss, big guy. It's just not my cup of tea. But like, turns out some people like it. But then some of the stuff I've heard, people really like it. And now I'm starting to realize like, oh, if I actually had better ways of getting my stuff out there and I sort of wasn't in my little shadow band box, things could probably go a lot better for me. And not that I want to like censor my stuff or anything like that, but I want to be able to have, like you had the video store, but then you had like the little red room in the back where they had all the porn. And I'm not talking about having actual porn. I'm just saying like I want to be able to have a website so I can make stuff like late antiquity and not worry. And people know that like, hey, if you want the absolutely bonkers insane shit, you got to go here. And because there's still plenty of ideas and stuff that I have that are perfectly suitable for social media and perfectly suitable to just be released for free. But there's some stuff that it's like, at least ideas I have in my head, that I'm just like, yeah, man, this wouldn't be for everybody. I don't want to just show it to strangers. I don't want to just post it out there and see who sees. Because again, going back to this fucking dude who reviewed it, which by the way, not a single like on the review, but like, there's just some people that it's like, bro, this ain't for you. You know what I mean? But like, this is the only way I have to show my fans. So this is just a lot of the stuff that's been on my mind lately. And about how to, because I'm just sort of starting to realize too that it's like, there's not going to be somebody that magically comes out of the sky and gives me like $1 million to just do this forever. Recently, I had a guy reach out to me, and he basically wanted to invest in a studio with me and stuff like that. And then like in a matter of weeks, we were all ready for the call. Everything was going good. And then a call happens and like somehow things just don't materialize. And we were just kind of like, it was weird. It was just weird how it all happened and how quickly of a turn it was. And there's a lot of details of it I can't really get into, or at least that I don't want to get into. But it's one of those things that I was like, this has happened so many times. People hit me up and they're like, hey, we want to hire you to make a feature-length movie, or we want you to do this or that. And it's like a lot, big numbers getting thrown around and stuff like that. And then it just sort of like, and it just doesn't happen. And it's happened to me enough that I'm just like, fuck it, I don't care anymore. I don't want to even do that. I just want to be able to make my stuff fairly cheaply and make a little bit of money so that it all balances out. Because that is enough. I don't need to be a fucking celebrity. I don't need to be a fucking millionaire. I'm not super, I don't think like that. The thing that's most important to me is being able to make the weirdest shit possible, the craziest stuff possible, and stuff that people know when they watch it, they're like, oh shit, he didn't hold back. Like, oh my God, he went there. That's what I'm trying to do with late antiquity. And it's really hard for me because I'm kind of a natural people pleaser. I don't want people to not like me, or people, I don't want to have all my right-wing fans think I'm a fucking lefty, and I don't want to have all my left-wing fans think I'm a fucking Nazi. You know what I mean? Because I'm neither of those things. But I want to talk about left-wing stuff and Nazi stuff at the same time. It's fun. And so I just don't, I don't know, man. It's all pretty weird stuff to navigate. Because, again, I'm not like the most internet savvy person. And I have a kid too. I have sort of a reputation to keep in mind, and I don't want to miss out on cool opportunities too, just because I was trying to be edgy on the internet. So I just need a way to compartmentalize all my stuff a little better. I do really enjoy talking about art in movies and sort of the philosophy of art type stuff that I know from 20 years of doing that. And also people seem to like it too. People at least like to hear me talk about it. And so I'm probably going to have just a normie channel of just that stuff that I'm just going to treat like a normal YouTube channel. And then I will have Timeline Junkie will probably still remain. And that's probably still where I'll put the concept trailers for stuff. And then the actual studio, which I've 99% got a name for. I'm not going to announce it yet though. That's going to be its own channel too, and that's probably where I'll have a podcast with my buddy um, Jacob, who wrote Deviation, and me and him plan on working together on a lot of stuff. We've become pretty good friends. We've never met in person, but we talk on the phone every single week, and he's sort of going to be my partner in this, and the first guy that I'd like to bring on. I sense a horseshoe coming around as the far left and far right divide, probably after the collapse. You know, uh, and also I pretty much said all I need to say about the compartmentalization thing, and what my sort of plans are for the future. With the horseshoe theory thing, um, I used to think that as well. However, they just won't let themselves do it. The gap is in at the end of the horseshoe for a reason, and it's because it just can't actually meet. They can be very, very close in the same place, and we both know why. It's Israel, but everything else is too different, and that's what actually keeps it from closing. The far left, if you want to talk about like scumbag left people, like people that like Cumtown and fucking Joshua Citarella and stuff like that, um, I don't even know if I would call those guys far left. You know what I mean? Because like so many of them, like when you really, I mean, obviously they're leftists and they're pretty far left, but like they are not who you think of when you think of the far left. Anything moderately right wing is fascist and racist now. It's irreparable. Talking to a neighbor about that tonight. There's a growing consensus on a command economy and anti-interventionism, but people are too divided at the end. Yeah. Josh Citarella, he's actually got one of my favorite podcasts right now. It's called Doom Scroll. It's on YouTube. He has sort of studied internet culture for a long time and politics on the internet. And so when we're starving for a decade, people will, yeah, for sure. And then like, Cumtown and Chapo's Trap House, those are sort of like millennial new left podcasts. Some of my favorite podcasts out there too. Like Adam Friedland came from that universe, Stavros, Nick Mullen, all those guys are sort of in that sphere. And those guys really, when you talk to them, they're like old school, like, let's make the factory workers strong, let's organize labor. They're sort of labor leftists. They're not like, hey, we have to dye our hair pink and, take hormone blockers. And they're not like the annoying gay left that everyone thinks of now when they think of far leftists. Those people were actually very, very late to the party. And sort of, I mean, that's why I believe a lot of the trans shit was just a flat out CIA psyop. And I think a lot of the stuff in the Epstein files confirms that. And I think that the trans stuff was used very similarly to how the hippies were used. Every once in a while, like leftist sentiment gets a little too popular, and the powers that be are like, we fucking cannot have this happening. And so that's what was really going on after World War II. And then with like the Black Panthers, and they were sort of seeing this leftist coalition forming. And so, they had the hippies going there. They gave everybody acid and heroin and destroyed the movement. They killed everybody in the Black Panthers. And then, but I think that, after Obama, there was a real fear of like actual Laurel Canyon. What do you mean? Just like the hippie stuff in general? I don't have tons of interest in that stuff, only because it's just been covered so like by much better people, I think. But there's some stories from that era and that sort of time period that I am sort of interested in. But I think a lot of the trans stuff, the way it was just flat out pushed, I do believe was sort of a way to discredit any sort of serious post-social media leftist movements that were going on, that were mainly focused on like overturning Citizens United, better wages, a lot of stuff that like, I mean, the problem with leftists is like they have all these great ideas, and if people lived in a perfect world, it would all work. but it just never works, and it certainly would never fucking work in America. However, like, I do believe there's ways that the government could exert force to make companies pay workers more, and I think that there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's absolutely um, uh, doable, and I think that, like, I think we've just seen the effects of just like complete unchecked, like, yeah, just let the CEOs make the rules. And turns out wages are stagnant, and whole generations of people are living worse than the generations before them, and it's because of shit like Citizens United. Now, when you get into like free healthcare, and then like it starts going off the rails with a lot of stuff. But where I would say I am most leftist is when it comes to like workers' rights and stuff like that. I would like a better social safety net. I would like, there to be no starving children in America. I would like us to have really, really, uh, I would have really good education and all this other stuff. I'd love to spend tons of money on this if spending money translated into it actually working. But as we can see, it just doesn't. Like, there's just no, we're bad at government. America is bad at government. We're bad at spending the money on stuff that works. There's too much corruption. Too many people steal the money. And, it's just like, if you look at the Department of Education, the amount we've spent on it keeps going up and up and up. And the graduation rates keep going down and down and down and down. And there's a reason why. When there's an endless faucet of money, there becomes no more incentive for the thing to work, which is also like, I mean, that's like Thomas Sowell general conservatism. You know what I mean? Like, if there's no incentive to work, why the fuck would anybody work? You know what I mean? So I get all that. I'm not saying that these leftist policies are a fix for anything, but I do think that some of the outcomes they want are noble goals to strive towards. We have enough money in America and, in tax revenue and stuff like that, that we could solve a lot of these problems, and we could have better public transit all over the country. We could have all these things if people weren't retarded and the government wasn't corrupt, and we had actual transparency, but also we didn't have infinite immigrants coming in. We didn't have, completely shattered cultural, religious and racial cohesion. Like, the way to get to a lot of these left-wing outcomes is far-right policies. So that's sort of like long-winded way of saying that's sort of where my thing is. You can't have free healthcare if you're just letting people in infinitely. You know what I mean? You can't give everybody a house if you're just letting people in infinitely. You can't have peaceful, nice neighborhoods if your police are neutered and they can't fucking kill suspects every once in a while. And, like, you can't just let S-tier violent offenders back out on the fucking street, ad infinitum, I think is how you say it. You just can't do all the shit that leftists do to get a leftist outcome, is what I'm trying to say. So, and it's weird. And I think that is sort of where the actual horseshoe is going to be. I mean, if you look at a guy like Verillium, I've known a million motherfuckers just like him. They wore wigs and were in weird fucking punk bands and blah, blah, blah. But they were always smart, pretty cerebral guys. And then, they get a dose of reality one way or another. They have a kid, they fucking do whatever, and they start moving right, because the right is just dealing in reality a little more. MAGA isn't, but right-wing philosophy, I think, does deal in actual, it sort of takes things as they are versus how they want them to be. So, had a home invasion here in Denver 6 months after I was in the street getting police defunded. I had to pin the guy in my yard. Yeah, dude. Big wake-up call for sure. Yeah, I was in Black Lives Matter protests. And, it's like, and it's not because I was like a super leftist. I just, I was sort of well, the thing about the Black Lives Matter protest I was in is at the exact same week that George Floyd had been killed, the Columbus police fucking beat a guy to death, 4 blocks from my house. So our protest sort of were at the same time of the George Floyd stuff, but a lot of it was focused more on local stuff that was happening. And, I don't like police brutality. I don't, Columbus PD, when I first moved up here, killed a 13-year-old kid. Didn't have a gun or anything like that. He was just kind of the wrong suspect, and it was a tragedy. And so I don't think that police need to be defunded or anything like that, but I'm also not under any illusions that the police are like the fucking sickest thing of all time. You know what I mean? Like, everybody wants to think like cops are sweet, but then when there's one standing in front of you, they'll always just like, if you just talk to a cop uh, on the street, they're always like chill and cool. And like, if there's one off duty at a bar and you're like smoking weed, they don't care. As soon as like they're there to bother you, then all of a sudden you see that it's like, oh, you're just a robot for the state. Like it doesn't matter what you say to them. There's no convincing them because they have the thin blue line. They have the shield. They have that thing of like, well, in this capacity though, I don't have to be a human. I'm just a cop. And so, and I get it. Like, their job doesn't make sense unless they can do that. But it's also where, like, I'm not a cop, so I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm a fucking citizen. I don't want to deal with the police. I don't want to be around the police. I don't want to fucking have to call them. I don't want to deal with the government. I want to deal with the government as little as humanly possible in my life. That's just how I live. So, but no, I don't think that anybody who becomes a police officer just wants to do it to fucking bully people and be a piece of shit. Of course, there's people like that, but I've seen far more people like that in school administrations and city councils than I have in police departments and stuff. So, yeah, I just think it's, as far as the horseshoe theory thing goes, I think that you're going to see as millennials get older, a lot of millennials became super leftist out of a backlash. A lot of you younger folks don't remember the early 2000s the same way we did. I started high school in 2007 or 2003, graduated in 2007. It was an insanely right-wing time culturally, especially in terms of like sex and entertainment, and very, very similar to how people look at the 80s, like the sort of Patrick Bateman, Wall Street, cocaine, fucking Coors Lights girls. The early 2000s were very much like that too. It was incredibly like oversexed, very violent sort of sentiment, very edgy humor, Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn, Patrice O'Neal. It was a different time. And as a lot of millennials grew up and got into college years, a lot of them went to college and just got brainwashed lefty-wise, but they sort of like overcorrected and wanted to become this elephant in the room, dude. Fucking legendary. What's really interesting is like, everybody talks about like, what was the actual moment that like made our whole society shitty? And like, dude, you can literally track like wokeness to Patrice O'Neal's death. Like when Patrice died, like he was like the dude holding back the fucking invasion. But anyway, a lot of millennials though grew up edgelords and then became lefties out of a sort of weird guilt, remorse for that. If you look at a guy like iDubbbz, right? Like a YouTuber like iDubbbz, he, said the N-word, he fucking, he was super edgy or whatever, but then he like sort of regrets it, and then he just like becomes a super lefty cuck. And that happened with a lot of millennials. However, there's going to be a recorrection back to the center, and I think that that's what you're seeing with guys like Joshua Citarella, the Horseshoe Theory podcast. There's a lot of like, even like Chapo's Trap House guys, like these dudes are all like, they have leftist sort of first principles, but they're not the like, oh my god, they're not like the safe space lefties. Like these dudes, like you could have a beer with them and talk with them, and it's not going to be the most insufferable performative thing. And a lot of these guys actually walk what they talk. You know what I mean? Like, I'll respect a fucking leftist if they live like a leftist. You know what I mean? If like you're gonna like if you're gonna do the thing, you're gonna claim that's your thing, then you better do it for real. Um, but I think when that happens, that'll be the closest we see the horseshoe kind of going, because a lot of these dudes that went super far right are also going to realize, like, damn, I can't get any bitches if I'm trying to like explain to them the fucking Camp of the Saints on the first date. Like, there's just like some of the far right shit that it's like, bro, it's just not realistic to live your life this way. You're just going to be fucking angry. You know what I mean? There's no, because I think in a general sense, if you're trying to live your life in a sort of, and I'm assuming that most of the people that I talk to, or most of my fans are men, um, but I do have a few. There's a couple Timeline Junkie fans out there that have vaginas. Shout out to them. I want you guys here. Go tell your friends. But it's like, if you try to just live your life in a more masculine way, it's just really hard to not become right wing. Like the right wing ideology is the more masculine. The left wing ideology is more feminine. Um, in general, creativity and that type of shit is, I think, more feminine. I think that there's some psychologist or whatever that basically said that like men try to build things. We want to build buildings. We want to, create works of art and do all these things. Um, because it's the best we can get, because women can create humans. Like, women can create the ultimate thing, and we can never do that. And I think I speak for most men when I say that we're in awe of the ability to do that. Watching my girlfriend, a baby grow inside of her, and then watching the baby come out, and now it's a fucking full child that speaks full sentences to me. I mean, it's a fucking miracle. And it was so fascinating to me, and I was so impressed by like the way that they just do it. It happens. And it doesn't matter if like it's a poor, retarded, idiot woman, or like the woman with, the best husband and great healthcare and all this other stuff. Like, they still got this like instinct, and they can just do it. Like, it's fucking fascinating. But in general, though, the sort of ability, the way a woman can kind of walk into a room and imagine the color of the curtains, and the way they have to, try out all the different outfits when they're getting ready and all this other stuff. Like, women live their life in a much more aesthetically creative way than men do. And yeah, dude, straight up, like, watching a woman give birth, you're just like, holy shit, dude, I was wrong about y'all. Like, I couldn't do that. And don't get me wrong, dude, I could bitch about women for fucking years. But the truth is, man, like, I don't have a big like lifelong grudge against women. Got a great relationship with my mom. You know, I've dated plenty of BPD girls and fucking, had shitty relationships, and I've also had plenty that I fucked up. But some of my closest friends are women, and and also it's important to have a few friends that are women, because it lets you really experience firsthand just what terrible people they are to people they don't love. If a woman genuinely loves you, I mean, it's something out of this world. It's what men go to war and fight and die for. But also, you need to see the other side, that when a woman doesn't love you, you're effectively just a stepping stone. Like, you're a piece of furniture. You're like, it's weird. And I've watched other dudes get used that way and stuff like that. And I've always tried to live my life in a way that I don't let myself be put in that position. However, though, that other side of when a woman loves you, it's just, I mean, it's why the incel thing happened. It's why things like the far right, stuff. It's why it can boil up to that point. And it's not like, oh, we just need to give the incels more bitches and they'll stop being Nazis. It's not what it is. It's not the whole story. But on some level, you can go crazy as a man having no women in your life. And you can definitely go crazy having too many women in your life. And you can also go crazy having one woman in your life. But no matter what, I think most guys, given the choice, whether to do it and have it turn out bad or to never have done it at all, they'd still take the first choice. Um, so I don't even know how the fuck I got on that subject. But I guess what I'm saying is, altogether, in my personal life, because of where I've lived, and because I was an artist and I was in music, and I've been around a lot of different walks of life. I've been around a lot of different people that were from foreign countries. Because again, Columbus, Ohio is actually a very, very cosmopolitan city. I think maybe is the right word. We've got a ton of every race here, like ton of white people, ton of black people, ton of Hispanic people, ton of fucking Central Asian people, ton of fucking Asian people. You know what I mean? Like within just a few miles of my house, there's like 3 Korean Christian churches. You know what I mean? I can go to any kind of grocery store from there's a fucking Uruguayan grocery store. What kind of fucking groceries do they even have? How different are the Uruguayan groceries from the Paraguayan groceries? You know what I mean? But I've seen it, and just generally because of the culture of the city in general, everyone kind of chills the fuck out, and it doesn't really cause a lot of problems. You know what I mean? But also, like, there is the bad part. But I think with a lot of the incel stuff, you just gotta really fucking gotta show up at school the next day and deal with it and manage it. You had to go at the end of school and fight. Sometimes you get your ass kicked in front of the whole school. There's really no rite of passage for young men anymore. That's really interesting, actually. I do agree with that. Um, well, but the other thing is they're afraid to lose, but they're afraid to, like I watched dudes I fucked with and was cool with in high school get their ass beat. And it's like, they took it on the chin and it sucked. But they also didn't have a video of it. Like there wasn't a video that people could just replay over and over again. They still felt the humiliation and shame from that. But it's like, whatever, bro. Like you squabbed, you fought, and you put your dukes up or whatever, and then you lost. And but that's what mattered, is like you weren't a bitch. Like you fought. Like somebody called you out and you didn't get punked out. And then now though it's just different, bro. It doesn't matter that you stepped up and that you had to fight. Like it's the social media stuff. So I get that. But even deeper than just fighting, the rite of passage thing, like what you're talking about, that is true. I sort of became a man in hip hop. There were people battling them. There's freestyle circles, and I had to perform, and I was a goofy fucking white guy in front of a bunch of black people. It taught me a lot of, and again, also hip hop was like one of the last masculine places in culture. It's become very gay now, but hip hop was very masculine. And that might be why I gravitated towards it. I've never considered myself a super masculine guy, but I think I was actually kind of like seeking it out. And I don't know, just seeing that culture and seeing the way that, people talk differently to each other. And men and women got along differently. And they were able to say different things and talk about different things than everybody else in other art forms were. And so that was sort of my rite of passage, because I think that every man, every boy that becomes a man, it's like on some level, you got to find out where you stand amongst your peers. And then you got to figure out where you stand amongst your, like the opposite sex. You got to figure out where you stand amongst women. And you got to figure out where you stand amongst your enemies. And I think a lot of times when people talk about like masculinity and male stuff, they always like talk about it in these like Game of Thrones terms of like, well, you got to go out there and slay the dragon and build your empire and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's not that deep all the time, but like you got to have some boys you can rely on. You got to have your boys. You got to have your homies. You got to figure out, do chicks like you? Or you got to figure out why they don't like you, because that's a great indicator of what you need to fix in your life. And and you've got to figure out what to stop trying to figure out. Oh, dude, that's brilliant. Yeah, that is fucking brilliant, bro. 100%. Bravo. Um, but yeah, and then you have to figure out where you stand amongst like you'll have your friends growing up, right? But like a lot of my closest friends that I have now as an adult were friends that I was only friends with because we were in business together. And it's a different kind of closeness and intimacy you get with those people because like when you and a dude or somebody go into business together and you've got to work together to make money and you've got to like hustle and do the thing together, that's like going to battle together. You know, it's the same as like anytime you got a buddy and they were in the army and you're like having a party and they're like, hey, I'm gonna bring my buddy from fucking basic over. It's like a nightmare. The dude from basic training is just like a huge piece of shit or just like not fun to be around. And it's because like, yeah, man, you guys were friends in basic training. There was no one else to be friends with. Like you had no one else to be friends with, and you guys did horrible, unfun, hard, difficult stuff together. And that bonded you in a different way. But it's like it doesn't translate over. And so I've got people that I was friends with in music and that I really, you know, they meant a lot to me and we made money together and we did cool stuff together and we, you know, helped people together, you know, but like I don't want to introduce them to my family, like my mom and dad. You know what I mean? The way that my mom and dad know like my friends from my childhood. So trans girl to boy, man. What a dumb fucking option. It's just like I don't know though. I remember one time my friend, she was like an e-girl, but she was African. And she would, you know, she was Muslim. She would say wild out of pocket shit about like trans people and stuff like that. I mean, it wasn't really out of pocket, but for in the context of all the people she was around, she would say it, but like nobody could say shit to her because she was African. Like she like understood how to like do the hierarchy thing. And she shared this meme one time that was like, white people find out they're ugly and start using they them pronouns. It's like it's so fucking true. So many of the people I've met that are trans, it's just like not being able to deal or come to terms with the fact that they're gay or not being able to compete. You know, like they're not really able to compete into in the sort of big battle. And because also people got to remember, like, people used to just fucking die. Like, millions and millions of people used to fucking die of, like, dysentery every year for no reason. Or, like, rickets or whatever. Dudes used to just go to, like, 10 wars a year. Or, like, they would just go to war and be gone for 5 years and then die. And, like, you know, all the dudes that were left were the dudes, you know, it was a lot more matched. Nobody dies anymore. Nobody just goes out and dies. So you've got like all these people around like this. The center is like the fuckable, lovable people, and then there's all the other people, and they got to figure out what to do. They're on the same internet, you know. They want to buy fucking, you know, the chicks want to buy makeup. Like that's the whole thing of like dudes calling girls mids, and chicks saying, "Oh, all these dudes are chopped." You know what I mean? It's just like everybody has the expectation of like being a 10 and that they're able to ascend out of that. Some people just never do. It's fucked up. I don't like saying this shit either. I'm not trying to like, I don't even know what rickets are. I just think it's funny. Somebody explain to me what rickets are. But, you know, Pat Benatar said it best. Love is a battlefield. You know, people are competing for partners. They're competing for mates. And some people just flat out can't compete. You know, I've talked about this before, and every time I think about it, though, I have to talk about it. It's so fucked up, but it's so fucking funny to me at the same time. So, like, Elliot Rodger, he's like the goddamn Paul Revere of incels, basically. He's the dude that shot all those people at the Santa Monica College, I believe, or Santa Barbara College. And, you know, kid grew up, affluent life, wasn't particularly ugly. He wasn't bad looking. But then as soon as you hear him talk, you're just like, oh, dude, yeah, this is just like you're drying up pussies instantly when you try to communicate with them. And he left this big manifesto. He made all these vlogs about, women don't like him and how women are so stupid because they only want the jocks and the chads. And he's, it's typical kind of incel stuff. But I remember reading his manifesto because I was very fascinated by this stuff. Because I had met dudes that just you get to a certain age and you have no contact with women. It's like it's bad. It's same thing as like getting past a certain age and you don't have kids or a family. You know what I mean? And I'm not even trying to jump on anybody about that or criticize because I understand now a lot of dudes are like, why the fuck would I even want that? And truthfully, I understand. Now that I have a family, I'm like, dude, I understand. It's a lot. You got to be built for the shit and want it. I've always thought about being a dad. I've always wanted kids. So I was prepared for what it goes to. But, the way a lot of these younger guys are looking at the sort of deal of like marriage and having kids and family, I get it, dude. I would probably be of the same thing. However, also when you're younger, you are more selfish, you know? And the life of a man is that you sort of have to be selfish and dangerous and take risks and build your empire or whatever that is. And you have to get stronger and you have to conquer your enemies and you have to conquer women and find one that loves you and attract the most beautiful woman. And you have to acquire stuff, you have to acquire wealth, you have to build all this stuff. But then the final test is you have to give that up to protect people weaker than you. Like your woman, your kids, like you have to give up the dangerous side of you. You have to neuter yourself to be able to give them, and you basically have to give all of your shit away. And the reason it's the final test is because it's the hardest to do. It's the most difficult thing to do because your whole life you've been taught like, no, me win. Oh. And when you have children, you have to be a softer a little bit. You have to be a little more empathetic. You have to be able to sacrifice your own personal pleasures. To have a wife, you can't just go around fucking on every girl that's out here. You can't be out till 5 a.m. drinking with the boys. To be in a relationship, women are designed in a lot of ways to like find a man and find one that's dangerous and make him undangerous. And so it's weird. It's a weird thing that doesn't make sense when you're 20, especially. When you're 20, you're just like, why the fuck would I do that? Like, I'm out here with the bros. We are cracking beers right now. We are eating steaks. We are fucking the hoes. You know what I mean? Like, that's when you're younger, it's just like, that's the shit you want to be doing. And so I don't know, man. A lot of the super right-wing stuff and like the trad stuff and all that shit, a lot of it's a LARP. A lot of it is a big-ass LARP, dude. Because it doesn't even fit. Perfect example, bro, like seeing like Steven Crowder. Seeing like him smoking the cigar, trying to be like the man of the house. And his like pregnant wife's just like, no, dude, I'm not doing this. I'm fucking pregnant. Stop smoking around me. And he's like trying to fucking like, oh, and it's just not working. It's like, yeah, dude, it doesn't work. Like, it's not that it doesn't work, but it's like, it doesn't work just because you want it to. It doesn't work just because you say it does. And so, yeah, exactly, bro. Even with like Sam Hyde talking about fucking like, well, hitting your kids is the most barbaric fucking thing you could ever do, and it's low IQ. And then he like names a bunch of like studies from psychologists who he spends the rest of his career shitting on and saying nothing they say matters. And it's like, bro, first of all, no, you shouldn't like beat your kids, but hitting your kids is not the same as physical discipline. And also, it's like, yo, bro, you're like 45 and you have no kids. Why the fuck would I listen to you about anything related to children? Like, if you don't have kids, I still respect you and I'll listen to anything you have to say except for kids. Because before I had kids, I thought I knew all types of shit about parenting. I thought about fucking everything. Yeah, bro, try knockout. I said this on the Sam Hyde pest. I flick my son in the forehead, and it like, it used to work, but he thinks it's fucking hilarious now. And I've already realized that it's like, and the good point about physical discipline and why it doesn't really work is you have to escalate it. You know what I mean? Like, my mom physically disciplined me a lot. I got spanked. I got spanked with a fucking board, or a wooden spoon, whatever she had around. Like, my mom was a single mom for a little bit of time before she was remarried, and she had three fucking big ass unruly boys. Like, what the fuck else is she gonna do but hit us? And we all love our mom. Great relationship with her. She wasn't abusive. You know what I mean? But it's like, I can pretty much think about every single time I was physically disciplined, I absolutely deserved it. And it's not to say that, like, ooh, it came out fine. Nobody comes out fine. But again, it's like, Sam Hyde, you preach the most like edgelord, nothing they tell you is true type stuff, and like the trad stuff, and like you tell all your fucking fans all this like advice about women, and it's like, bro, I don't see you with any women. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see you with any women. You talk all this stuff about kids. You don't have kids. Why the fuck would I listen to you about that? Like, I'll listen to you about how Adult Swim is shady. Like, I'll listen to you about all types of stuff. I'll listen to you about art. I know he's fucking cut his teeth in that. But it's like, yo, Sam, I don't want to listen to you about women or kids or anything in that realm, because you're a fucking weirdo. Like, you've lived a weird life. You've lived a unique, strange life that not many people have. And you've become successful. So I'll listen to you about business. I'll listen to you about money. I'll listen to you about how to make it in stuff. I'll listen to you about working out. I'll listen to you about boxing. But I'm not going to listen to you about fucking what to do with kids, bro. Like, just shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. And so, I remember the last time I got whipped, I asked mom if she liked doing, she hit me, and she never did it again. That's fucked up. That's smart, though, for real. That caught me off guard, Michael. I'm sorry. That's fucking hilarious, though. Yeah, and it got to a point that my mom, like, she tried to spank me with a wooden spoon, and it broke, and I just laughed, and she was like, fuck, all right, well, this age is over. Maybe I'm clown pilled, but I thought Sam's post was some sort of experiment testing the algorithm. No, I don't think that it was. I could see what you mean by that. I think he has done stuff like that, but I absolutely think he believes this. I've heard him talk about it in other cases. And, like, by the way, he is right. Like, it's like, you should use physical discipline when sort of all other options are exhausted. You should learn how to communicate with your child better, as opposed to just be like, bah! Like, I mean, that's still stuff that I struggle with. You know what I mean? Because also, like, especially when they're toddlers and, like, you're just tired and you're fucking annoyed, you don't want to explain yourself. You just want them to do it because they're little. Like, you could just crush their head with your hand if you wanted to. Like, they should just listen to you and respect you because, oh, I'm bigger and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's just a natural kind of thing we all have. But at the same time, it's like, you don't want to do that. You love them. But, like, you're tired. You're annoyed. They're annoying. Kids are annoying. Yes, your own kids are annoying too. And so, yeah, you don't, yeah, exactly. You don't beat your child. But the other thing is, too, MK uncle. The other thing is, too, it's just like, you have to show your children that there's physical limits to their behavior. You have to show them that, like, hey, if you do that, someone else is going to smack the shit out of you. And it's better that I be the first one to do it. So hopefully you just never do it again. And somebody who doesn't love you smacks the shit out of you. And they may not stop smacking you. That's the one thing that they always miss. It's like, there is an aspect to where it's like, you as the parent have to be the first person to hurt them in that way, so that you can nurture them after, though. And I'm sure there's plenty of people that would say, like, oh, it's fucking abusive and you're forming a trauma bond or blah, blah, blah. Probably right. But, like, on some level, at least it makes sense to me of, like, Like an example, just like spitting on, you know how like kids, like just without thinking, they'll just spit on each other if they're angry or they think it's funny. But like as an adult, I mean, shit, you go to certain places, you try to spit on somebody, that's like grounds to get fucking killed. You know what I mean? Like I just spitting is like spitting in someone's face. That I mean, it's the ultimate disrespect. To a little kid, though, it's just another gross, stupid, funny thing. And so, like, I've watched my son get told, "Don't do this because it'll hurt if you do it," and then I see him just completely ignore it, go do it, and he gets hurt, and it hurts really bad, and he runs to me, and it's like people have to learn themselves. And the easiest way to learn yourself is physically. When something physically hurts, it's an immediate reaction. It happens as fast as your nerves work. And it's a good way to put that memory in there of like, oh, that hurt. I only needed to touch a hot stove once. Never did it again. I never had a question about should I just put my hand on a burner of a stove. So that's an aspect of, corporal punishment, whatever you want to talk about. And the fact is, it seems like Sam grew up in a pretty neo-lib, softy-ass household, which is why he became the person he became, which is why he has this constant need to push outward and oppress everybody. And all his comedy is like confrontational and like pranky and like just like he's never off. You know what I mean? He's always got to be out there doing the thing. And I guarantee you that was a result of his upbringing and him not being physically hit, which, by the way, it probably, he seems like a very emotionally intelligent guy to me. Like Sam Hyde seems like he just seems like a trustworthy person. He seems like one of those people that's a dickhead outwardly, but if you became his friend, he would literally do anything for you. And I've heard people say that about him, but that's just the vibe I get. Um, you know, and that because because he also wasn't, screamed at and hit, and there wasn't a lot of chaos in his household or whatever, that probably resulted in that too. So there's two sides to everything. Regardless, though, it's like Sam Hyde. I don't give a fuck what you say about parenting. I fucking don't. I really fucking don't, dude. Kids these days dropping M-bombs don't realize the consequences of the real world. Yeah, exactly. It's really easy to do your like, haha, being racist is funny shit if you're never around black people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't do that shit because my literal best friend is black. Like, my chief collaborator that I've worked with, and even ones before, like, a lot of black people really did a lot to help me. A lot of black people accepted me when they didn't have to. They let me into very black spaces when they didn't have to. And you know, I don't want to do that. And it's like, I with other stuff that I've made too, like, dude, I'll say some fucking funny, like, lightweight Comedy Central racist shit because it's funny. Like, it's fucking funny. Stereotypes are funny. Stereotypes are real. They're funny. But there's some people that it's just like they take it so far that you could just tell it's just hatred, blanketed, like sprinkled with a little humor. And it would just be so fucking fake for me to do that, to try and like get some sort of groiper audience or whatever. And the people that are actually in my life and the people that I actually respect, a lot of them would lose respect for me because they know I'm not like that. They know it would be a front. And that's why it's fucking lame. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I didn't get into politics to hate black people or gay people or trans people. Like, I don't do that. I just got into hate Indian people. I'm just kidding. But it's just funny because every other race loves dunking on Indians. It's like, it's really funny. But even then, man, like, in Letterhead, I've made some jokes about like Hispanic people and stuff like that. And like, dude, I've got so many Hispanic fans that have been so generous to me and nice to me. And it's just like, yeah, man, like, why would I want to alienate somebody in my fan base that enjoys my work? Like the racial division doesn't run that deep that like they can't understand what I'm trying to say because I'm a white guy. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's just my lived experience, man. Like I've known a lot of different people from different walks of life, and we are all people to a certain degree. Like a lot of the trite diversity bullshit that they say, a lot of it's true. Like in microcosms. You know what I mean? It's not true on the macro, but it is kind of true on the smaller scale level, especially if those different races and religions and whatever are there for a common goal outside of that. Most of the people I met that were of those different backgrounds were there because of art. And that's what's cool about art is that like race and all these other things um, don't really matter. It's like it's a meritocracy, but in a different way. And so that's why there's amazing female film directors and amazing black film directors and like you know what I mean? Like you just get it or you don't. And so and it doesn't really care about your race. Now, as far as the content of what they make, of course, your race, your background, your upbringing, that all informs that. But when it comes down to the actual skill and the actual execution of doing that thing, shit doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, man. There's good Russian films, there's good Chinese films, whatever. If you want to get into it, of course, like America's high key dunking on everybody when it comes to like pop culture and stuff like that. But that's what I've always liked about art. It was cool getting to talk to a woman who did the same thing I did, and she has her own perspective and spin on it. Like that's interesting to me. So anyway, we've gone pretty deep, dude. It's almost 2 a.m. Let me see what we got here. It's corny and goofy. Back in the day, it was done only when you want. Yeah. I mean, dude, a black person would have to make me pretty fucking mad for me to bust out the hard ER. And it would be because it's like, okay, I feel like fighting you, so I'm going to say the one word that I know is going to make you fight me. But then if they don't fight you, you just look like an asshole. They just look like the way bigger person. But I think history has proven that they do fight because of that. But it's also one of those things that like having close black friends, it's just like I've seen them get put in so many shitty, weird positions to where like they were just trying to chill. They were just trying to be at a party and somebody says it and then the other white people make it awkward that they said it and now like all eyes were on them and they had to react to it. You know what I mean? And then there's other black people watching them and it's like, what are you going to do? And, that sucks. It's just not cool. It's not fun to be in that situation. It just sucks all the air out of the room. So yeah, but also when it comes to the internet, a lot of the groypers that say it and throw it around and just that whole thing, to me, it's funny. Like it is funny when Nick Fuentes says it because and it's because it's taboo. We've been taught that it's this terrible word and you should never say it and blah, blah, blah. It's the worst thing to say. But then when you see Nick Fuentes saying it and you know that there's black people that fuck with him and he still says it and it's just like, it's fucking hilarious. And it's like naughty. Like there's no other way to say it. Like, and Nick Fuentes has such like a twerpy little brother energy to him that it just works. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of guys that it's just like, oh, you're just like 19, 22, racist. Like you're just fucking racist. And it's like, that's just kind of, I have no problem admitting that, most of the time groups of people do better when they're left to themselves. You know what I mean? And most groups of people want to be with other people that look like them and are part of their sort of in-group. But I just fucking hate the way that a lot of far-right people talk about black Americans as if they are an immigrant group. You know what I mean? Like, that's fucked up. Like, they're Americans, bro. Like, they're Americans. They've lived in the same America we have this whole time. And you know, and yes, I understand all the gripes people have or whatever, but it's just like that's weird to me. Like someone that's been here 5 years on an H-1B visa is not the same as like some black person in Memphis whose family's been here for 4 generations. Like that's a fucking lame thing to say. Despite what you think about that family that's been here for 4 generations or whatever, like I just don't think you could take that away from them. They're not. They have the same claim to it. You know, calling themselves an American and shit, which I think should go without saying, but we live in strange times to where a lot of people are very vitriolic and very. I mean, there's just a lot of resentment. There's a lot of resentment, especially among younger white males, at just the overcorrection of, you know, PC, woke, liberalism, whatever you want to call it. They've been browbeaten their whole lives. And you can just see the reaction to the, you know, Gen Z boss in a mini, that whole thing, you know, the longhouse, all of it. And I get it, dude. I grew up in that same way, but I guess I don't know. It just didn't, I guess I just didn't feel the backlash. I was just always kind of too in my own world to notice. And also I spent like half of my life just partying. So like a lot of this shit, like I just didn't have time to even think about it. But I can understand. I can understand the guys that is just like, oh, their whole life they've been taught that being a racist is the worst thing you could possibly be, or saying a racist joke is the worst thing you could possibly do. And then I can understand having the desire to be like, okay, well, now I want to say that. You know what I mean? Especially now when the culture shifted back and everybody sort of said, like, okay, it's okay to tell those people to shut the fuck up. Like, it's okay to tell screechy, perpetually offended leftists that, like, so what? Like, yeah, I said it. Now what? Because it's like when you do the whole, oh, I apologize. Oh, I'm sorry. Please don't. Oh, they're just like, we got him. Pussy. We got him. It's a fucking humiliation ritual. So, shouts out to internet races, real life races, like the Chud the Builder types. Like, fuck Chud the Builder, dude. Fuck that dude. Anyone trying to say that it's like he's like some free speech warrior, like, come on, bro. Really? Is that word that important to say for free speech? Is that really the speech you're trying to protect? Like, come on, bro. My perspective, is that what you're talking about? Or who are you talking about? Chud the Builder, I don't know, man. It's like, dude, you're like going out and like intentionally provoking black people with a fucking gun. And yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's very live streamer energy. I think most IRL streamers need to die for the most part. Like, if you go out like in a shopping mall and you're just bothering people to get views, like 100% capital punishment. Maybe no trial. I don't know. If we have proof, if we could just go to your page and prove that you do that, straight to the gas chamber. That's what I think. Put you on a train, send you to a camp, round up 150,000 of you, and then gas chamber. You know what I mean? Also, thank you for that, man. I appreciate that. But yeah, fuck Chud the Builder. That's the lamest shit of all time. And it's just, it's a bad example, too. It's also ineffective. It's like, dude, you could be more effective with your racism. You could do racism. This town deserves a better class of racist. And I'm going to give it to him. Oh, I'm sorry. I make myself laugh, at least. But, yeah, it's lame. Because also, like, growing up in the Tough Ground with Colin Quinn era, like, those guys were all racist, too, but they were all friends. Like, they were all able to make fun of each other and make fun of themselves. And also, a lot of them have this, like, unique kind of racism to where it's like, everyone knows they're not, like, KKK racist, but everybody also completely lives by the stereotypes because you live across the hall from the stereotype. You walk past 20 of the stereotypes down the street every single day. You know what I mean? Like, New York people will just throw out stuff about a whole other group of people and paint them in all one way. And a person in the Midwest will get super offended by it, but then the people they're talking about in New York will be like, yeah, totally. It's, and these people all do this. The Italians all do this. The Puerto Ricans all do this. The fucking Jamaicans or the Colombians. That's just how New York is. You know what I mean? Like, contact racism is healthy. You know what I mean? Um, like where I live, there's a road. There's like a big road, and it's just got like there's so many like African people that drive on the road. The black people just call it the border of Africa. Because that was like a shock to me, not knowing a lot of black people. Then when I worked in a warehouse, that was like one third black people, one third white people, and then one third like Muslim Africans from Somalia. And seeing the conflict between black people and Somalians, and stuff like that. And it seems kind of ignorant now to like have been shocked like, but I literally just grew up in a town with no black people or any foreign people really at all. So and so that let me realize like, oh, okay, like no matter what, you stick groups of people together, and if they're different, they'll find shit about the other group that they hate, and those groups will also find ways that they come together. Howard Jones rocks. Your videos are awesome. I don't know what that is. Who's Howard Jones? Are you saying Howard Jones played one of my videos or something? Or you're just saying Howard Jones rocks. My videos are awesome. I've known a lot of African people too, man. I've met so many fucking great African people. And like, to be honest with you, in Columbus, all the like the Minnesota shit, all the stuff, or like a lot of the shit in Europe that people talk about, like with Africans, like it's just not that way in Columbus, because most of the Somalians here have been here for about 20 years. Like, most of the Somalians that came to Columbus were from the 93 Somalia conflict, and then they came into Kenya, and the Kenyans and the Americans formed a treaty, and so they were able to come here. So like, there's like a lot of like old Somalian men that are just in suits, and like, their kids are just Americans. Like, they talk, they sound like white people, you know what I mean? Like, they just fucking listen to the same shit. So, but in like Minnesota, those people are from the last Somalian war that happened just a few years ago. So it's like, there hasn't been 2 generations of assimilation happen yet. And so, and the other thing that a lot of people don't talk about, like, Muslims do the Muslim thing. They're going to fucking try, Muslims are going to try and push it as far as they can for Allah. Whatever you let them do in the name of their religion, they're going to fucking do that, okay? But in terms of just secular culture, Muslims assimilate fairly well into America. Like, I don't have a ton of, like, I interact with Muslims every day just on a business level, and it never goes bad. You know what I mean? Now, if you start talking to them about religion and shit like that, like, yeah, it could go bad. You know what I mean? But if you were to believe what most millennials had been taught about Muslims post 9/11, if that was true, if all Muslims were that fanatical, then there would be so many more terrorist attacks. And also, keep in mind, in America we have like the NSA and the spy system, and oh, Howard Jones, the things can only get better. Oh, okay, thank you. I fucking love that song. That song is so good. But anyway, it's just like, we have been, there have been plenty of terrorist attacks in Columbus. I remember in 2004, the FBI announced that 2 years prior, they had thwarted this terrorist attack on a big mall of ours, where they were going to detonate, I think, 4 or 6 bombs in this shopping mall at Christmas. And it was these Somali, I think they were like Al-Shabaab guys, and would have been fucking horrible. And it's like, and those guys were here as a result of those immigration policies and whatnot. So I'm not trying to say like, bro, we're all just people, man. Just let all the people in. But I'm just saying that, like, in Columbus, we don't have that same kind of like ridiculous level of shit that they have in like Minneapolis. And also, we have a balanced enough population that like we don't have the type of Muslim shit they've got in Dearborn. You know what I mean? So, but like the Haitian shit in Springfield, that was wild. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. iconic Trump movement when he said that they were eating the cats. Iconic. Um, oh yeah, for sure. Nobody like the dude. Even the ones that are perpetrated by Muslims, like the FBI, like you read into it and it's like, oh yeah, the guy that built the bomb for them was an FBI informant. It's like that's 90% of them. The 93 bombing, the FBI like literally fucked up and gave the dude real explosives, and they had to move the van. Like if they didn't move the van, uh, I don't know, man. The one tower would have collapsed into the other one. That was the original plan for the 93 bombing. And that guy was a fucking FBI informant, the dude that built that fucking bomb. And so that was something I found out researching Lucky Larry. But like even like Oklahoma City and this, the FBI is definitely like, yeah, we caught a terrorist ring. We had 12 informants in the group. How many people were in the group though? 13. So it's just 12 FBI agents pretending to be like one autistic kid's friend and being like, yeah, so this is how you build the bomb. Like, it's such bullshit, dude. So many of these institutions really do need like ripped up and rebuilt from the ground up. Not saying we don't need federal police of some kind. Not saying we don't need to have a foreign intelligence service. But they've just, over time, institutions become stagnated and stuff. God damn, I need a cigarette. Y'all got me yapping, dude. Under Siege. Under Siege is a badass movie. Not as good as The Siege. Have you guys ever seen that movie? Had Denzel Washington and Bruce Willis and Annette Bening. It was basically like the biggest example of predictive programming that I've ever seen. It basically predicted the entire fucking FISA courts and not needing a warrant and Guantanamo detainment, all that stuff. All of those subjects it was talking about in 1998 in a movie that is still watchable as fuck. It's a great movie, dude. Pretty bland Denzel performance, but powerful Tony Shalhoub's in it too. But it's one of my faves. I love that fucking movie, and it's pretty cool. So anyway, how many people we got on here right now? 7? Dude, you guys are sticking through with me tonight. That's cool. I've got a pretty big day tomorrow. Still have to fucking come up with $700 some fucking how. So if you guys want to go to my Patreon and buy the first 7 minutes of chapter 2 of Late Antiquity, you can. I don't know, man. I don't know. We're just out here right now. But I've just had a lot on my mind, and I haven't gone live in a little while. And I've been trying to do a video where let me get the fucking porch light on here. I've been trying to do a video where I had a bunch of footage shot, and it was going to be like more of like a vlog style video. But I could never really nail down what to talk about in a way. Yeah, Wag the Dog is one of my all-time faves. Wag the Dog is like low-key the biggest inspiration for all my stuff, because it's really the only Hollywood movie that really kind of does what I've tried to do, which is like show the conspiracy from the inside out. Never watched live streams, but you're actually got interesting. Thank you. Dude, I can ramble and I can yap. Very glad I have that skill. It comes from growing up. My mom, I never went to daycare. My mom worked from home. She sewed for a living. She was like an interior decorator and designer. And so she would, if she didn't want to deal with me, she would go to the library and rent a bunch. Who the fuck are you? Who are you? Look at this little cat, dude. I haven't seen this cat before. She'd rent me Godzilla movies from the library, and then she would have to deliver her stuff, and she'd take me with her. So I'd be in the car with her all fucking day, and she would listen to Rush Limbaugh. And so, hi. Oh my God, this cat is beautiful. She doesn't like cigarette smoke though. I already have 5 fucking cats. I don't need another one. How good does that movie look? Mission Impossible. Oh, dude, yeah, Mission Impossible '96 is like, in my opinion, one of like the only like super rewatchable Brian De Palma movies. I don't like Brian De Palma that much as a director, but I think he fucking knocked that out of the park. And honestly, it's a more serious and darker movie than any of the other ones in the franchise. Like when you go back and watch it now in the context of all the other ones, like from two to the latest one, it feels like they're all in the same universe. And then you watch the first one, you're like, whoa, this feels like an adult movie. They were just more serious about movies in the '90s, bro. I don't know how else to say it. They just had the sauce, man. The boomers had the sauce when it came to movies in the '90s. No one can take that from them. Boomers made incredible movies, dude. They were just dreamers on a different level. So, but when it comes to talking and stuff like that, I've always loved talking, communicating. I like hearing people talk. I listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff. And I'm really good at retaining super useless fucking information. I can't remember my fucking dad's birthday, but I can remember, like who directed some obscure, stupid fucking show from the late '90s or whatever. Gift and a curse, I suppose. But I do like doing these. I would like to like I don't want to be like a streamer per se, but like I would like I don't know, it's just fun to get to talk to you guys. It's cool. It was awesome as De Palma doing Mass Appeal, yeah. I agree. I just remember he had this Iraq War film called Redacted, and it kind of got him booted out of Hollywood. It was really bad. And it was sort of a competitor movie for this other film called Battle for Haditha, which was actually a very good movie, and it actually still holds up really well. And it's about a really fucked up. It was sort of the Iraq version of the My Lai massacre, and but it just really well done. I always appreciate when movies portray soldiers, uh, like the guy that is the soldier, not just the soldier doing the heroic act, but like how they are around each other, um, in like a realistic way. Just because I had brothers and friends in the military, and so I got to know the guys they were friends with and stuff like that, and they just have a certain way of talking, and that's why I think The Outpost is probably the best film to come out of the whole genre of the war on terror. And one day we're going to do a whole war on terror movie stream because, like, dude, you guys have no idea how deep the autism goes with my knowledge of that. Because I made a fan edit. I might have talked about this before, but I made a fan edit series, and it's still not finished, but it'll be 8 films in total that took every show and movie about the war on terror that was based on a real event and puts them in like chronological orders. It's basically like 8 3-hour long movies. I have 6 of them done, or at least a draft done. They're not like perfected or anything, and I'll probably never even finish it. But I have seen every single movie about the war on terror, like all of them. I've seen all of them, and it's a whole subgenre in and of itself. So people could chat like a pedal. Yeah, that's the other thing is like, where do I live stream on? Do I gotta have the Discord open when I live stream? Do I have to, you know what I mean? Like, there's like a lot. There's just a lot to it, and I just like I want to be able to fucking get up and smoke a cigarette. Like that's why I like doing it on my phone. It's just kind of easy to fucking do. And I'm not gonna be on here too much longer. I gotta fucking get to bed. I was supposed to be fucking making images this whole time in Grok, because I keep forgetting Grok has an image thing, and it's free. Like I pay for Twitter every month, and so I can just get unlimited images. And honestly, Grok has like gotten way better with its imagery. The Boys on the Tracks video, all of that was made in Grok, and most of the Nephilim video was made in Grok as well. So I want to start using it more, especially for late antiquity. But with late antiquity, it's like I'm using a lot of real people's faces, and Nano Banana and Sea Dream are just like the best with that. And so sometimes I just gotta bite the bullet and just pay the cost for it. Who's talking about Baby Boy? Just saw Baby Boy. I always ignored it, figured it's generic hood shit, but I'm not exaggerating. It's a masterpiece. Oh, dude, Baby Boy is a deep movie, man. Like, and because I've spent so much time around black people, watching black people's discourse of that movie is super interesting. Um, because it just speaks to a lot of shit that just like white people don't get. You know what I mean? Because I felt the same way when I first saw it. I was just like, "This is." I was wanting a hood shit movie. You know, I was wanting like Paid in Full or whatever, and or like Boys in the Hood. But no, it was like a deep Oscar bait drama just set in the hood. And I would really love to see more movies like that. Honestly, there have been a few ones. There's a movie called OG that came out a few years back on HBO, I think, with Jeffrey Wright. Great movie. And there's another one on Netflix, I think also starring Jeffrey Wright. That was really interesting and good as well. Um, but yeah, Baby Boy's kind of crazy. Make a Discord that people will enjoy this chat like pedo. That are StreamYards. Never even heard Zimmer nicotine spray. Nope, not doing that, dude. Ciggies all day, man. I need cigarettes. I don't care about nicotine. I care about cigarettes. That's what I'm addicted to. Opening scene, he's a fetus. Um, Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. There's like deep shit, dude. There's deep shit in that movie. And it was speaking to like the black experience in like a very honest way. That was John Singleton though. That's powerful John Singleton. I mean, John Singleton's a fucking legend, man. Just the movies he's produced and stuff like that. Like he's like the black Steven Spielberg in a lot of ways in terms of like how he carried the industry forth, and paved the way for a lot of other people. Um, so because also like one of my favorite movies of all time is Hustle and Flow, and John Singleton produced it. He didn't direct it, but you could tell he had his hand on it. And that movie, that's just such a raw and fucking like honest movie. Um, and it's just like it's one of those ones that like they don't make them like that anymore. Like like the main character is like a pimp that like hit women, and like you're still rooting for him. Even the women he hit was rooting for him. And I'ma let these motherfuckers know that I ain't playing ho. Um, Whoop that tree. Fucking great movie, dude. And then in the opening scene, when he's in that car and then it does the freeze frame and the Hustle and Flow title, and it has the little like 2004 whatever productions under it like they did in the 70s, and that Buddy Guy song is playing, and it's just like, oh, it was so hard, bro. That movie's so fucking good. um so yeah, no, I've seen Baby Boy. I haven't seen it in a while, but I have seen it. I should go back and rewatch it. Because that's what I'm saying when it comes to movies and shit too. That's why like a lot of the right wing stuff gets boring to me, especially when they talk about film, because it's all fucking Master and Commander and Gladiator and fucking Indiana Jones or whatever. It's just like it's all dad movies. It's just like the dad that's half asleep on Thanksgiving and whatever's on TV. Um, 2001, yeah, 2001. I'm not really a Kubrick fan. I don't really. Um, Full Metal Jacket's awesome. He makes good, like his movies are good. Eyes Wide Shut's good. Um, but I don't know. I don't see it the same way other people do in terms of just being like super impressed. Um, but I do like, I don't know, man. I watch a lot of foreign films. I mean, cinema itself is such a universal language, and it's like what I was going back to saying about art is that it just doesn't care about like where you're from. It doesn't care about, um, anybody can kind of do it, and because of where they're from, because of what their background is, and all that, it's like that informs how they make it, how uniquely they make it. Spike Lee is one of my favorite directors. for every sort of like typical, you know, black lib, Gen X black lib shit thing that he does, he's got this like very American through line to what he does. Even just like in how most of his movies, he uses horns instead of a symphony and or an orchestra, whichever one. And there's just something, even like watch a movie like 25th Hour. His like mid 2000s run was super interesting. She Hate Me, Miracle at St. Anna, Inside Man, 25th Hour, like that whole mid 2000s run was really, really good. And then I think after the 2010s, after Trayvon Martin in general, his shit just sucks. Like he just hasn't really made a good movie since then. But um, I don't know. There's a lot of different perspectives and cool things. As far as foreign cinema, and I think that the proof is in the pudding on this one. That just like Koreans just got it, dude. Like Korean is Black Klansman. I never even saw that one. Need a new good bank heist movie. Um, well, if you've never seen Den of Thieves or Den of Thieves 2, those are both really, really good bank robbery movies. Um, really good movie that is sort of about a bank heist is a movie called Destroyer. Everybody that's in the stream right now should go see Destroyer. It stars Nicole Kidman. She is genuinely barely recognizable. She looks like hammered dog shit in this movie. She just plays this drunk ass detective trying to solve this murder of a guy that she was part of a case with like 10, 20 years prior. And this guy killed a dude she was in love with. And it's so cool because it takes place in Palm Springs, out in the desert, and they use a lot of like desert rock, and like there's like when they're at these parties in like the undercover scenes, they're like listening to fucking Caius and like old Queens of the Stone Age, and like I'm really big into desert rock and that whole scene of music, and if you are too, there's a really good movie called Lords of the Desert that is it's a documentary about that scene. It's super interesting. Um, but like some of my favorite bands came out of that scene, and so it's a very specific, weird neo noir movie. But Destroyer, it's so good, front to back, just fucking a flawless, sort of broken detective story. But Nicole Kidman just fucking bringing it home, dude. I have so much respect for her because she was just like so, porcelain traditional beauty, just absolute drop dead gorgeous woman in the 90s. And she did everything in her power to make herself ugly. And she took all these fucking roles that really pushed her in her limits and stuff like that. Killing Zoe, yeah. Killing Zoe's, so the director of Killing Zoe actually follows me. And I DM'd him and he left me on red, that fucker. But now Roger Avery's cool because he's actually getting into the AI stuff really heavy. Um, uh, okay, so Julie Depley was in Killing Zoe. The one with Ethan Hawke and Julie Depley is Before Midnight or Before Sunset. There's a trilogy of them. It's a Richard Linklater movies, and they're really good. But it's literally just two people talking the entire movie. Um, but yeah, Killing Zoe is a fucking crazy movie. But I love bank heist movies. I've always wanted to rob a bank. I think that I just think. Oh, here's another one. Because I think Allison, if that's you, hi, how you doing? Um, uh, 44 Minutes. It's a TV movie. It came out on FX. It's got Ron Livingston and Michael Madsen, and it's about the North Hollywood shootout. The two guys in like I want to say 94 or 95 that like they were like high key the inspiration for Heat. Um, and they just like duked it out with the police. But it's actually a really good movie. I've watched it recently a few times and it kicks ass. Dude, I'm trying to think. Because I also want to do a live stream of hold on, my fucking DVD collection. Because I've got like, so like this is just like my general case of DVDs. And there's a oh hey, since we're talking about bank robberies, The Lookout. This is a good bank robbery movie. Dude, I could probably flip pages in this thing and just go off. And there's probably, because I'm obsessed with crime movies. Crime movies probably my favorite genre. But like this is just my general one. This is my horror movie case, and my sci-fi case is over there. But I've seen some fucking movies, dude. Seen a lot, and I rewatch them a lot too. Oh, dude, Revolver's my favorite Guy Ritchie movie. Well, I can't say I like it more than Snatch, because Snatch is just so legendary, and Snatch like literally gets better by the year. Like Snatch, like every time, because as an editor, like Snatch has some of the most insane fucking editing I've ever seen in a movie, especially when I know it was done on film. However, Revolver though is a deep movie, and it's fun, and it was the last movie Guy Ritchie made before he started like copying off himself. Not that he hasn't made good movies since, because I thought The Man from U.N.C.L.E. was good. I thought The Covenant was good with Jake Gyllenhaal, the Afghan war movie, and his fucking Robin Hood movie. I think it was Robin Hood, or no, King Arthur. It was he made a King Arthur movie that was like fucking badass actually, with Jude Law and Charlie Hunnam, I think. But a lot of his other crime stuff, like The Gentleman, what was that one armored truck movie, Wrath of God, and a few other ones. It's just like, oh, dude, you're just trying to be. It's just Guy Ritchie doing a Guy Ritchie impression, and it's just not that cool. But Revolver, though, because again, sorry, another rabbit hole incoming, guys. One of my favorite movies of all time is a movie called London, and it stars Chris Evans, Jessica Biel, and Jason Statham, and it's a romantic comedy. Chris Evans is Jessica Biel's ex. She's about to move from New York to LA. It basically, their breakup shattered his life, and he found out she's having a going away party and moving the next day. And he's like been doing drugs and just being a piece of shit in his apartment. And he buys some coke from Jason Statham and convinces him to crash her going away party with him. And Jason Statham's like not a coke dealer either. He's like a banker who just happened to have coke to like sell him or whatever. And so it's just them hiding in the bathroom of this party pretty much the whole time, fucking doing blow together and just talking. And it's one of Chris Evans's best performances ever, but it's easily Jason Statham's most powerful best performance. And I want to say he doesn't beat anybody up, but like at the end of the movie he like gets in a little scuffle, but it's not a typical action Jason Statham performance. It really just, you get to see him flex as like a real actor. And he's just like, he's so much better than people give him credit for. And same with Snatch. I think he's amazing in Snatch. But Revolver was the next performance after that I saw, where I could see he went down a little rabbit hole in his career of like, oh, let me see if I can kind of do this or whatever. But what's interesting is, so the producer that's helping me with Lucky Larry I had told him about this movie one night when I was just like, he's always asking me for movie recommendations. And I had told him about London. He went and watched it and then realized he had a meeting with the fucking director like the next day. And didn't even know that when I told him about the movie. I didn't know that either. And I got to actually meet the director. And he fucking, he was super cool guy. And he was kind of dabbling in AI stuff, as fucking a lot of them are. They just don't talk about it. But he, it was weird because I was telling him all the stuff I love about the movie. And he's like, yeah, I hate that movie. It like ruined my life. Like he went through such a shitty process. Jessica Biel's agents tried to nuke the whole fucking movie because it was like, she was still the Seventh Heaven girl. They were trying to bill her as like sort of like the nice, movie starlet or whatever, and she's like, sucking and fucking and doing all types of wild shit in this movie. But there's something so deeply just like personal and raw and honest and vulnerable about that movie. Um, that I saw it when I was in high school, and I was, very much a romantic, and yearning and lusting after women, um and it's great, and it's still great. The Crystal Method did the whole soundtrack, which is just sick. I'm a huge Crystal Method fan. And but anyway, I got a copy of the script of the fucking sequel to it, and I'm in the middle of reading it right now, and it's like, it's wild. It was just really, really cool. So anyway, Revolver, that was those two movies, I would say, are Jason Statham's best performances that he's ever done. Um, he's made plenty of other good movies. He's been good in plenty of other movies, but he's just always kind of doing, oh, I'm Jason Statham. He's just kind of doing the typical thing. But also, like, Jason Statham's very funny. Like, he's a really, really funny guy, and it's just also a testament to how directors use their actors. I think that's interesting too, and getting to see that, like, um, like Christopher Nolan, he's really good at directing actors. He gets really good performances out of his actors. He's not good at directing characters, though. You could really see that he's not that much of a character guy. And he actually leaves a lot of that to the actor. But like, actors are just sort of clay, like they need to be molded, most of them. And so that's why you get a lot of these movies with uh, big casts, but not many characters, if that makes sense. But anyway, Hunter, the guy that directed London, he, I was glad I got to tell him that, and it meant a lot to him. But I was like, dude, no matter what happened with that movie, you directed the greatest performance that Jason Statham ever did. And Jason Statham's an international fucking movie star, you know what I mean? But London is just so good, man. It was a movie of its time, and it could never come out now. It could have never came out before, and it got buried. Like, it could have been a much bigger movie, but Jason or Jessica Biel's people really hated the director, really hated that she took the movie, but she was really passionate about the movie, and so they did everything in their power. They literally went and like contacted like Christian, what's it called, focus on the family type of organizations, like watch groups that review movies and stuff, and had them sort of like review bomb it before that was even a thing. And very, very interesting stuff. But and I could also tell just by talking to the guy that he's not he's a fucking artist, and a lot of times artists are not easy people to get to agree with. And he wanted a lot of stuff his way, and he had to compromise and whatever. But like, just a fantastic movie, though. I love it. Yeah, I just love movies in general too. I'm trying to think of more bank heist movies though that like kick ass. Inside Man, that Spike Lee movie with Denzel and Clive Owen, that's a good bank robbery movie. One of the best bank robbery movies I've ever seen is called Sexy Beast with Ray Whetstone. And who directed Sexy Beast? Let's look that up real quick. Because it's like, it's all going to, it all builds up to, oh, Jonathan Glazer, okay. What else did he do? Sexy Beast, Birth, Under the Skin. Oh, Zone of Interest. Oh, okay, this dude's kind of a weirdo. That makes sense, though. But Sexy Beast is sweet. It's got Ben Kingsley. He's an absolute psychopath. Ian McShane's in it as well. And like, Ray Whetstone's one of my favorite actors, especially just English actors. But it's cool. It takes place in Spain. It takes place in like the desert in Spain. What else? Bank robbery. Because the thing is, he sort of ruined the genre in a way to where bank robbery, the thing had to go wrong and there had to be a gunfight. And so you have movies like The Town. The Town is fucking incredible, though. Shout out, powerful Ben Affleck. The Town is, I would say, the heat of its time, and then Den of Thieves is the heat of now. And I didn't like Den of Thieves 1 as much as I like the second one. The first Den of Thieves is cool. Oh, dude, The Town, especially if you watch the director's cut of The Town, that's one of those movies where the director's cut and the original cut are actually two very different movies. Because the director's cut, there's so many character scenes that get added back in, and it's a slower movie with that. The theatrical cut's cool if, like, you just want to watch something before bed and you just want to bop, 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 bop. But watching the director's cut and then going back to the theatrical cut, you're just like, ugh, this is missing a lot. And John Hamm's character is fucking terrible. But I also don't like John Hamm that much as an actor. Um, but the director's cut of The Town, I definitely recommend that over the theatrical version because there's a lot more meat on the bones. Den of Thieves, though, it's cool. They're kind of playing the hits, but they do some interesting stuff that you've never seen before. And the big gunfight of the movie is pretty rad. But, and I forget the guy's name, the lead guy's name, but he's really good. He's a great actor. And all of the supporting actors are good. Ice-T's son is good in it. I think Ice-T's son's like probably one of the best Nepo babies out there. And I love it because he just owns being a Nepo baby. He's like, oh, you mean to tell me if your dad was famous, you wouldn't let him help you? Like, fuck off. What are some other movies with DC's transformative? Um, Not that many, in my opinion. You've got movies like Alien 3, where like there's like the producer's cut and then there's the director's cut, and they are wildly different. I want to say Halloween 4, Halloween 6 is another one where it's like they are two wildly different movies. Um, Batman v Superman versus the Ultimate Edition, very, very different movies. Um, the Zack Snyder really utilizes the director's cut as much as he can to put a lot. Like, to me, one of the wildest examples was the director's cut of Rebel Moon versus the director's cut or the theatrical cut of Rebel Moon 1 and 2. Like, the theatrical versions of Rebel Moon on Netflix are unfucking watchable. Like, they are a bad episode of Firefly, basically. But the director's cuts are like a genuine space opera. Like, there's a lot of shit going on in those fucking movies. I'm a pretty big Zack Snyder fan. I think that he is, he's just a visual master. I don't think anybody commands sort of CGI VFX better than Zack Snyder. His team that he carries with him in every single one of his movies. Forced me to watch BVS. Director's cut. I hate superhero movies. Dude, BVS. I will never shit on that movie. It's the stuff that makes BVS bad is because specific artistic choices were made. It's not made out of incompetence. It's not bad because someone fucked up. Someone fell short. It was bad in people's eyes because he made a choice. Midnight Meat Train, I was cool with that movie until the dude started cutting like the warts or whatever off, and I was like, this is gross, I'm fucking turning this off. But it is a cool movie. But like, man, Batman v Superman, it's genuinely the first like art house superhero movie. It's like the first, like, I don't know how else to say it. It's like an art house superhero movie. It's like an Oscar bait superhero movie. And there's so much more because I did a very, very intensive fan edit that underwent several iterations of basically the Zack Snyder trilogy of Man of Steel, BVS, and Justice League. And because I think a lot of mistakes were made with how he handled DC, but I think most of it was because of pressure from the studio and the reaction, and because also at the same time Man of Steel came out is really when YouTube internet reviews and criticism was on the rise, and Hollywood didn't know how to react or deal with that. And so, but BVS Ultimate Edition, there's interesting stuff happening, man. Because the thing that people didn't get is like Batman is the bad guy. Like Lex Luthor is ultimately the villain, but for most of the movie, Batman is the bad guy. He's Superman's villain because Superman doesn't even know Lex Luthor's the villain yet. And so I don't know. Yeah, but the two different versions of that are wildly different. I'm trying to think of other director's cuts where it's like kind of a must have. Because then you get into like, there's the director's cut of Watchmen, but there's also the Ultimate Edition, which has the animated stuff added in and even more scenes that weren't in the director's cut. But the director's cut of Watchmen is kind of the most watchable, in my opinion. I think it flows the best. The animated shit in the other one, yeah, his kid, dude. I'm gonna do a whole fucking video about. See, this is why I want to have a separate channel that I can just talk about this shit, because what happened with Release the Snyder's Cut was like a cultural moment with the same impact that something like Gamergate had. People don't talk about the politics and the sort of metaphysics of the Release the Snyder Cut thing. It was a very important moment. It was a very, very important moment in American culture. And yeah, I don't know. I fuck with Zack Snyder on some level. Waterworld Ulysses cut was released. Oh, that's cool. I haven't seen Waterworld in so long, but I did hear there was another cut of it. What else, man? Because for a long time too, director's cuts were just called the unrated edition. That was like a big thing with DVDs, to like sell more DVDs, was to call things unrated. And because it's like, oh, there's more tits and gore in it. And which was true a lot of the times, but most of the time you'd be talking about a like 2 to 3 minute difference in runtime. But then you look at a movie like Apocalypse Now, which I have every version of Apocalypse Now. I have the 5-hour long assembly cut, which like literally doesn't even have complete audio in it. And it's like, then there's the theatrical version, which most people, theatrical version, which was like cool. Then Redux came out in the 90s. And that was sort of the version that everybody saw and where a lot of the second opinion of the movie got formed. And then in the 2000s, people are like, actually, I'm kind of sick of Redux. I don't want to watch a movie for 3 hours and 20 minutes or whatever. And the theatrical cut started getting popular again. And then in 2022, 21, or maybe 2019, they released the 4K final cut of Apocalypse Now. And I've got to say, the final cut is the hands down best version of that movie. What they added on top of the theatrical but took away from the Redux, it's the perfect balance. And I'm a Redux fan. I'll sit in Vietnam for 3 hours with them. But the 4K final cut of Apocalypse Now blew me away. It was so good. And it was just like, yeah, sometimes you got to sit on something for, close to 50 years and tinker with it to finally get there. Blade Runner Final Cut is good. I really like the extended version. Oh, dude, you know what? You know what is a pretty different movie? Fucking Independence Day. There's an extended version of Independence Day, and it adds like a half hour of fucking scenes onto the movie. And it like makes it, because Independence Day is like one of the most important movies to me as an artist, because it was like, I saw it when I was like 8 years old in theaters. I begged my fucking dad to let me go see it. And we had it on VHS. And, I've seen it 1,000 fucking times. And still to this day, I think it holds up. And it's only getting better with time. Just because of the scale and the scope of it. It was like the first American movie I saw that felt like how big those, like the Heisei era Godzilla movies did. I haven't seen the final cut. Didn't know it was a thing. We'll look for it. Yeah, you should. It's really good, man. It's just smooth. There's parts in Redux that just they lag a little bit, you know, that it's like the scene where they're all in the rain. There's just a lot of stuff that got cleaned up, and it's just way more pacing. But they didn't fuck with the colors too bad. But it still looks really rich. And Apocalypse Now, I would probably say, is possibly the greatest movie ever made. It's easily top three. I mean, you could put like, you know, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and you know something else in number one, Citizen Kane or whatever. But like, Apocalypse Now to me, for my money, it's the best movie ever made. Um, uh, Sheen's voiceover work in it, you know, just the scale, the scope, the story of how it's made. That movie's so good that the documentary about how it was made is just a great gripping movie in and of itself. like like that's how you know a movie's fucking good, when the behind the scenes documentary is still like you're on the edge of your seat. Um God, what other ones? I have to get the fuck off here soon. I'm so tired. But I just like talking movies. But the Gladiator extended edition's really good as well. Um, oh, okay. I'll tell you what. Favorite Heisei Godzilla? Yeah, Biollante. It's probably Biollante for me. And just a straight up 85 Return of Godzilla. Um, the movie's fucking great. But I also liked, I don't know if it's, I think it's Heisei, but I liked Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. The one from 91, where like Godzilla is like a dinosaur on the island. There's like time travel and shit. It's a stupid movie, but I just think Ghidorah is one of the best, most intimidating villains that's ever been put on film. So I've always really liked that. But I would say Biollante. Biolante's like when he's in his like full form, when there's that like shot where he's like backlit over the water and he's still in like the flower form before he like blooms and all that. And then also just like the actual action of like the bioterrorists and stuff like that. I don't know. The movie is just right place, right time, very 80s, right vibe. And it's just a fucking gas. But Biollante is like the actual puppet, sort of. I guess that's what you would call it. But the thing they actually built, you know, for the creature when he's in his full form is just super impressive. It was massive, and it took like, you know, dozens of different people controlling, you know, all the different tentacles and stuff like that. Just fucking amazing work. I could definitely nerd out about Godzilla stuff. You know, it's one of my favorite franchises, and I will say, as a Godzilla fan, it's really refreshing that we have not had to be mind raped and embarrassed about the franchise for the past 15 years. 2014, everyone hated it when it came out, if we're being honest. It wasn't the Godzilla movie we wanted, but it was the one we needed. And going back now, you can appreciate it because you know what comes after it. King of the Monsters is fucking badass and great. Kong Skull Island is fucking badass and great. Kong versus, or Godzilla versus Kong, badass and great. The one after that is not that great, and the only reason it's not, though, is because of Godzilla -1, and or what was it called, -0 or -1? And basically Toho said like, hey, if you're gonna make one of these movies every year, you can only put Godzilla in it for like 10 movies or 10 minutes. So make a fucking King Kong movie and have Godzilla in it a little bit. But even then, it was kind of cool. The show on Apple TV Plus, it's whatever. But for the most part, compared to like Jurassic Park, Star Wars, you know, any other the big franchises that sort of got all these reboots, Godzilla and the MonsterVerse was handled the best. Well, then of course you got Shin Godzilla, but I'm talking about the one that came after Shin Godzilla, the World War II one, which was badass, but not as badass as Shin Godzilla to me. I mean, Shin Godzilla I think is like number 2 greatest Godzilla movie ever made. And it was definitely the highest grossing one. But you know what? I fuck with the 98 Roland Emmerich Godzilla. I love that movie too. I mean, it's one of those ones like Phantom Menace where it's like I was the target demographic for that. You know what I mean? I was like the right age. I wanted to buy the toys. I wanted to go see movies at the theater. I already love Godzilla, but I also love Jurassic Park. And that was Roland Emmerich trying to compete with Steven Spielberg, which he's kind of always done. And he fails. And that's why his movies are great. But, because man, The Lost World, the second Jurassic Park movie, boy, I burned that VHS up. I fucking burned that VHS up. And I think it's the best one of all of them. You know, first OG Jurassic Park is legendary. Don't get me wrong. But the Lost World Jurassic Park, that's like the Vince McMahon meme of him just like, cut the tape. It's so badass. It's so fucking badass. The soundtrack was badass. Everything about that movie was badass. And there's that end sequence where the T-Rex is in San Diego, where he's clearly trying to do some Godzilla shit. And then Roland Emmerich gets the rights to Godzilla, and he's like, fuck you, I'm going to make my Godzilla like a dinosaur from the jungle. So, fucking sweet. So, I'm glad about that as a Godzilla fan. And then especially now that fucking Toho is firing on all cylinders with Godzilla -1, and now I think they have -0 or whatever. Oh, the marketing push for Godzilla 98 was insane. Like, bro, that's, again, one of those things that it's like, if you were a 90s kid, like a real 90s kid, you know, movie marketing was just so, like, in your face and everywhere. And they had the posters and the Taco Bell cups and the fucking toys, and the soundtrack was a big deal. You know, soundtracks were a way bigger deal. The soundtrack to the fucking Spider-Man movies with the Nickelback song. And they say that a hero. Like, what are we talking about, bro? Legendary. Fucking legendary. Mission Impossible 2 soundtrack. Legendary. Legendary. End of Days soundtrack, Little Nicky soundtrack. Bro, come on. I could go on for days, bro. Soundtracks were killing it. People were making special songs for the soundtrack. And low key, I gotta give it up to my girl, Hayley Williams. Paramore just killed it so hard with their song on the Twilight soundtrack that it just deaded soundtracks forever. People were just like, we're done. Streets is done. Oh, dude. Baz, are you talking about the 98 Romeo and Juliet? Baz Luhrmann's visionary classic starring, who is it? Claire Danes? The Crow. Crow had a good soundtrack for sure. Romeo and Juliet, though, that just that movie in general is so fucking good. I hate musicals. I really do. I don't really care for Shakespeare stuff either. But, like, I fuck with that movie, man. Because the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack had one of my favorite Radiohead songs. And it was a song they made for the movie. It was called Talk Show Host. It was fucking badass, man. It was so good. God, soundtracks. Whatever happened to those? You know what I mean? And, like, on one hand, I really sympathize with a lot of the, like, nostalgia, like, oh, look what they took from us, and we used to be a proper country. Like, I haven't even seen the Elvis movies. And I do get it, man, because I was 11-ish, 12-ish. I was like just hitting puberty, getting into being a teenager at the turn of the millennium. So, like, I downloaded songs on Napster. You know what I mean? I saw the colorful iMac computers. I was around for the late 90s Hollywood, just complete domination, just banger after banger. Every genre firing on all cylinders. The comedies, you had Jim Carrey holding it down. Horror movies, you had Scream and, like, I Know What You Did Last Summer and shit like that. and it was when it was during the slasher revival. So like gore porn and ghost stories weren't in yet. You had stuff like Ghost Ship though, Ghost Ship and fucking House on Haunted Hill. Then in action movies, I mean, come on, what are we talking about? What the fuck are we talking about? The Mummy, The Matrix, like Jurassic Park, Star Wars prequels, fucking Gladiator, fucking Saving Private. Like what? Like come on, dramas. Don't even get me started on the dramas. Yo, there was like a whole subgenre of movies in the '90s that was just uh, John Grisham novels. It was just legal fucking dramas, you know? Oh, but they did the Wachowski's amazing. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, the whole story. Oh, dude, cliffhanger. The whole story of what happened to the Wachowskis is just disgusting and sad. It's very fucked up. Um, yeah, it's dark. I researched that a lot. That was fucking dark, and you could definitely tell they're like, oh, we got to get them. We got to make sure these people don't turn out right. Um, but yeah, I mean, just in the '90s, it was just everything was firing on all cylinders with film. Music was still pretty good. I mean, obviously, I'm like a Limp Bizkit new metal kid. Um, you know, and a lot of people didn't like that, especially Gen Xers, because I mean, let's be honest, they had the best era of rock and roll pretty much since classic rock. I mean, it's classic rock now, but um, you know, Nirvana, Soundgarden, Chains, you know, all the alternative stuff, REM, all that. I mean, it's like it's fucking legendary, and it's like timeless music. You know what I mean? So like, I'll give Gen Xers a pass on the music. They have every right to talk shit. They cannot talk shit about the movies though. And so, but yeah, in the '90s, the late '90s especially, there was this just like palpable feeling of like, we did it, y'all. It's all good. Like it's all good. Uh, we're gonna fucking, you know, the idea of post history. You know, of just like, yep, the good guys won, and it's just gonna be Beanie Babies and good food and good economy forever and ever. And then 9/11 happened, and the whole thing got thrown off. Um, yeah, Back to the Future. The Back to the Future movies are so legendary too. There's so many things in those movies that I didn't pick up on because I wasn't really looking for it, but I just liked all the stuff. I liked, you know, the DeLorean and Doc, and I should go back and watch this again. Truthfully, though, I will say the past 4 months I've watched the least amount of movies that I have probably in my entire life, because I've spent so much time making stuff, and you know, if not that, working or doing dad stuff. But I've really, really been lacking. I've barely even watched any shows. There's just too many shows, man. I'm sick of shows. I'm over the golden age of TV. I don't need 14 hours of entertainment. You know, I want a good fucking movie. And I think movies are coming back. I think movies are going to come back in a fucking big way. Um, you know, the woke shit in Hollywood was a bubble. Um, and the bubble burst, and it's going to get smaller, and they got to build a new bubble. And so they're going to, and also what people don't understand, it's not just as simple as like, oh, they'll just make different movies. It's like, well, they got to fire all of the mid-tier, mid-level executive management people that were signing off on the shit to get it up the flagpole, going, no, trust me, this will make fucking, you know, they had all these DEI hires that had agendas and stuff like that, but they're also people that can sue the studio if they get wrongfully terminated and whatnot. So they have to tiptoe around that. But now it's sort of the general population, shareholders, the studio heads themselves, you know that heads need to roll. Um, yeah, I think so too. But at the same time, it's like, what's novel about those two movies, and this is the last fucking thing I'm gonna say, and I gotta get the fuck off here. It's almost 3 in the morning. Um, Obsession and Backrooms, and we'll throw in Iron Lung in there as well. Those movies are novelties because of the director. And I've talked about this before, where nowadays, because we lack movie stars like we used to, directors have become the stars. Like the sort of visionary direct, a Christopher Nolan movie, a Denis Villeneuve movie. Um, However, the movies themselves aren't super novel. Obsession is a twist on misery, and Backrooms is just literally about people wandering around fucking hallways. It's like literally a creepypasta movie. And I haven't seen it, so I'm not trying to like shit on it. Because I think it's so dope that they let a 19-year-old do that, And same with, I mean, I've been watching Curry Baker for years. That dude is, it's so annoying watching people act like he just came out of nowhere. It's like, dude, this dude was dominating on the internet, making some of the funniest skits, but with such a cinematic flair to it. However, though, it's not the same. The type of movies they are not revolutionary in the way that, say, the Blair Witch Project was. The Blair Witch Project popularized a whole genre that made literally billions. Like that movie itself, they didn't copy the director. They didn't try to just hire the director more. They just tried to make that movie more. And Backrooms is such a weird, specific thing. Obsession, kind of a one-trick pony. You know what I mean? It's not that it was like a massive shift the way that Blair Witch was, the way that Saw was, and then the way that like Sinister or The Conjuring were. The movies that really like sort of, they're like the switch on the tracks and things start going in a different yeah, like in Backrooms, like the liminal shit, because I play a lot of Gary's mod, because that's how I do a lot of the previs stuff for my imagery. And if I have a really specific shot that I want created, I'll make it in Gary's mod first. And so I have tons of maps that are like the liminal Backrooms maps, because the Backrooms shit was big on Gary's mod. And it's cool. I like it. It's just not scary to me. There's just nothing like creepy about it. And I used to be really into horror movies, and I'm not anymore, because they're just demoralization porn. It's just it's just bad for your spirit. It's junk food. You know what I mean? It's like junk food for your eyes. And so, and I just also get sick of people acting like horror movies have like, you always hear fucking lefty people. They do this with like punk and goth, and they do it with horror movies too, where they're like, it's impossible for you to be right wing and like horror movies, because all horror movies are actually a deep thematic analysis of class and race division in America. And it's like, okay, dude. 90% of this is naked girls getting stabbed. So like that's why you have to make up all this lefty shit to make yourself, sound high and mighty, and that there's all types of subtext in it. When really it's just fucking eye porn. It's just demoralization, appealing to our most base urges, and fears. I mean, that's all it is. And that's okay that that's all it is. Like, that's why the movies are effective. Everybody's been afraid before. But I just hate hearing, like, well, if you like The Hills Have Eyes, you should actually be rooting for the fucking mutants. And it's just, yeah, but nobody did. Same thing like Starship Troopers. It's like, oh, word, the bugs are actually the good guys. Like, shut the fuck up. So many people love to just, like, put... And I know that's, like, how Paul Verhoeven was supposed to look at it, but it's just, like, the media literacy thing is fucking stupid. And it's like, you don't get to tell people how they receive a movie. That's on the artist. Like, somebody had talked about Late Antiquity, one of my videos, saying it was, like, super pro Nick Fuentes or something. And I was just like, that's wrong. I didn't intend for that, but also, like, that's a failure on my part. You know what I mean? Like, obviously I directed it in a way that it came off like that to them. And I think it is on the artist and stuff. You can correct them and you can say like, well, okay, that wasn't my intention, but ultimately, it's like you've still done something. Oh yeah, dude, like Terrifier, yeah, like those movies just don't need to exist. It's just like this doesn't need to exist. It's the same thing as like Human Centipede in those movies, you know, because that was like all the 2000s after Saw and Hostel. It was either just like Saw and The Ring came out in the same year, and those movies branched off horror movies into these scary gray child movies or just gore porn, like torture porn movies. Um, and then you had 28 Days Later there in the middle. But like so much of horror movies are just degenerate slop. It's just degenerate slop. It's just there to demoralize you. Um, there's still a few of them that I just genuinely like. They're just too good to ignore. Um, you know, like my guilty pleasure. Yeah, Tusk is a fucking scary movie. Red State, the movie he made before Tusk, is even better though. That's like my favorite Kevin Smith movie. Um, but The Strangers, I think The Strangers is the one from 2008. I think that's one of the most like. It's just stripped down. It's just people. Tusk is worth watching once. It is once it gets to the part where it's horrifying, it's fucking horrifying. Um, but watch Red State as well. And Allison, if you haven't seen Red State, watch it. Um, but The Strangers in 2008, it was a movie that cost $8 million and it ended up making like 200 million at the box office. It was a huge hit. Oh, dude, if you saw it in theaters, cut the tape. Fucking The Strangers in theaters, because I saw it in theaters as well, which is rare because they used to scare the shit out of me, so I would want to see them at home so I could go hide. But that first knock on that wooden door is just like boom, boom, boom. And it's because they gave you 20 minutes of this like real touching drama of like these newlyweds that were almost newlyweds, but she called it off like on the altar. But they had rented this house to like spend their wedding night, and you're just like in it. You're just like immediately in it. Like, whoa, that's fucking crazy. This is like deep. And um, then there's that knock at the door, just fucking. And you're like, oh shit, I forgot. I'm watching a horror movie. And it's just madness from there. It's so good. So simple. What would you do if three crazy people in masks were trying to kill you? You know what I mean? Like, that's just the whole movie. And that movie was so successful that when Hollywood tried to copy it, they spawned a whole other winning franchise, which is one of my favorites, which is The Purge. After Strangers came out and did so well, you could just tell that execs were like going to their assistants like, oh my god, find me any script that has a home invasion and people with weird masks. And they're like, well, I've got this kind of like satirical critique of libertarianism and anarchy called The Purge. Do you want that? It's like, does it have scary people with masks and home invasion? They're like, yeah, the whole thing's in a mansion. It's actually about class struggle and blah blah blah. He's like, whatever, just make it. And then boom, fucking, we get The Purge, which I love those movies. The Purge, those movies are so good and they're so stupid. I rarely like movies for like their schlock qualities and like the sort of campiness and like I don't hate watch stuff. I don't think it's fun to watch bad movies and make fun of them. Like I want to watch good movies. I just want to watch movies I like. I don't want to watch a movie and be like, oh, this was fun to get to make fun of it with my friends. Like, that's fucking gay to me. And like, it was cool in high school, but like, I don't want to do that now. But The Purge, though, those movies have the right amount of like, oh, this is retarded, and I'm totally on board. F for Fake. I don't think I've ever heard of F for Fake. Lawrence of Arabia, I watched that recently for the first time. And I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, bro, what were they doing with cameras back then? Like, what were the cameras like? Why did it look so good? Um, so late antiquity. Okay, this really is the last thing I'm gonna say, and then I'm fucking going to bed. Um, hold on. I promise I'm not smoking crack. Um, I One of my favorite video game series is the Total War series. My favorite game of that series is called Attila Total War, and it takes place, during the fall of the Roman Empire in the period of late antiquity and whatnot. And oh, okay, the last Orson Welles film. I know what you're talking about. Um, and it's always been my favorite period in history of the fall of the Roman Empire, because it genuinely was a period in history. It was a 200-year range, 500 years, however you want to call it. But it was just always fascinating to me, the idea of this empire that's still intact, but it's crumbling, and the sort of characters that rose up to challenge that and to accelerate it, and how it changed the people and what being a Roman meant after that, and how religion changed the empire and stuff like that. And so I have, and Allison, I don't know if you're here on the last stream where I was talking about this, but this this book series called the DMZ was one of the biggest inspirations for it. It's about a fictional second civil war in America, and it was written in the early 2000s, so it's a little more kind of centered on like Bush foreign policy type stuff, but even doesn't really get into like our politics. It really has its own sort of views and politics in it. But anyway, a story like that mixed with the concept of a fractured kind of empire where like there's several different forces at play of it and stuff like that. And I've noticed that for some reason I really gravitate towards titles with the letter L in them. Um, and when I think about it, like my name starts with an L, but I think it's just L is just a really pretty sounding letter. I think it just like works. And so I kind of wanted to keep it in that theme too. But I also love like getting to play with the imagery. And yeah, the DMZ book, it's called Friendly Fire. Um, uh, this is the fourth book, I believe, in the series, and there's 8 altogether. I found this at Half Price Books. I don't know if that's just an Ohio thing, or I'm pretty sure they're like a national chain or whatever, but they had pretty much every single one of the novels there. A lot of people liked it, but not a lot of people read it. And so, and it's technically a DC story. They made a mini series on HBO Max that was fucking dog food. Had very little to actually do with the books, but the books themselves, I mean, it's just peak, like what Sopranos is to TV, DMZ is to uh, graphic novels and comic books, in my opinion. It's just like it just took shit to another level, and was strangely not a very political book at all, actually, and was far more about just what war does to people. But it was cool because it was really in its own universe during the Second Civil War, and so our politics didn't matter anymore. It was about like what had happened, because the DMZ is Manhattan, so like the Civil War sort of comes to a head in Manhattan and sort of stops there. But there's still like 400,000 people trapped in Manhattan, in the middle, in between these two armies, and it's about the culture and what that city becomes and how things work in there, and then the politics internally of that place. And it's just like there's just so much fucking interesting in like the culture and like what the people wear and listen to, and there's just yeah, it was the Rosario Dawson show. Just utterly forgettable, just boring, forgettable shit that doesn't matter. But most of the characters in that are based off characters in the show, in the books. But it's just like, I don't know. You could just tell they didn't know what to do with it, and they didn't have enough money to make it on the scale that the books are and stuff like that. And so that was a big inspiration for me for late antiquity. I had been wanting to make like a second Civil War story, probably since I was about like 11 years old. I'm not even lying. And then I found late antiquity right after I got out of high school, or I found the DMZ right after I got out of high school, and it really stuck with me. And yeah, then when I finally started doing the AI stuff, I was like, oh fuck, I can finally make the Civil War second Civil War thing I wanted to make, because I wanted to do it differently than the You know, it was really hard for me to think of a way to do it that didn't just feel like copying the DMZ. And then when I made Letterhead and I started doing stuff with deep fakes, that's when I realized like, oh, okay, I can sort of set this in our world. Also, it, doesn't hurt that like our country's sort of on the brink of a civil war in one way or another. But and the idea of using sort of like, if you think about the first Civil War, it's like Ulysses S. Grant, Robert E. Lee, but who would be the sort of generals of this new war? And it'd be cultural generals. It would be, the streamers, the political streamers and commentators. And so I wanted to play with that motif, but also with late antiquity, I wanted to talk about religion and the way that religion had such a big impact on the Roman Empire and Christianity had such a big impact and stuff like that. And I want to talk about the Crusades and, so like it's just a big melting pot of crazy shit. But then, yeah, when I thought about, because what's really funny is I used AI. One of the first things I ever did with AI was for late antiquity, but it wasn't this iteration yet. But I have them somewhere, actually. I actually think if you go on my Patreon, I have, if not, I'm going to like upload them right now. But yeah, I actually think that if you go, I thought of all the factions and I made the first country map for the story. And I used AI to sort of, I don't know, I used it to just make concept art really for it. And then I put that away for like 3 years, didn't even think about it, and then started doing Letterhead. And so, yes, actually, Allison, on my Patreon right now, tonight, I just uploaded the first 7 minutes of Chapter 2. So I'm still plugging away at it. Chapter 2 will likely be probably like 30 minutes altogether. I've got some crazy shit planned for this one. A lot of it, and this isn't like spoilers or anything, but I'm trying to, like what I did with putting Nick Mullen in there and like the cameos, there's going to be a lot more of those. There's a lot more 80s music coming. There's a lot more Charlie Kirk stuff. We're talking about the Demiurge. It's just like, I don't know. It's a kitchen sink movie to me. I get to talk about time travel. I get to talk about, politics, religion. I get to make fun of people. I get to be funny. I get to be really fucked up and dark. And I'm just really trying to take this movie as far as I possibly can. Like, I want it to be something that when it's all done and the final cut is made, I want it to be something that people feel compelled to download it because they know it's going to get scrubbed eventually. Like I want to make a movie that they feel like they have to scrub and that they want to like book burn. You know what I mean? Because with AI, it's just like, I don't know. I don't see any point in like just trying to make a normal movie with AI. There's some that I want to do, but it's like with Letterhead, with late antiquity, I'm trying to like push the art form. I'm trying to like actually use the tools in the most effective way that they can be used, whether the outcome is what you would call a movie or whatever. Just buddy. Thanks for the cool stuff. Thank you, man. Appreciate you sticking with me for all these fucking hours. Um, yeah, and everybody watching, you can either buy the first 4 minutes off my Patreon, or you can just join the Patreon if you want to support. I do have a buy me a coffee thing, though I don't know what to do with it. I mean, like people have paid me and stuff on it, which is great. But like, I guess I need to start posting on there like it's Patreon. I didn't really understand what it was when I got it, but people just kept telling me to get one because they didn't want to deal with Patreon. So, so yeah, that's the whole thing. But yeah, man, I'm plugging away at it though. I mean, I made the first. I was very surprised that I was able to make 7 minutes as quickly as I did for this. But I've had this scene idea for a long time, and that's what I try to do is kind of run on a delay of like, get some scenes in my head. Because with AI, you don't fully know what they're going to turn out like. You're not in control of it completely, and it's the same thing with shooting something. And so a lot of the late antiquity stuff started with just scene ideas, and then I'm just sort of freestyling my way through it. I don't have a script to this shit. I don't have an outline. I don't have anything written down on this. Like, I go into it just like with whatever's in my head and just try and freestyle my way through it. And I don't do that with any other movies, but with this one in particular, I want to do it that way because it's fun and it can be chaotic, and I'm also not constricted by things having to make sense. Like, it's time travel, so it's all stupid. There's like ancient hidden civilizations. Like, it's all retarded. I know it's retarded, and I'm trying to use the retardation to its full potential. So to make something like huge and epic and whatever, because I really enjoy using well, Chapo Boys making an appearance in Lake Antiquity. Yeah, dude, I've been wanting to put because dude, it's low key, it's a dream of mine to have Chapo Trap House like skewer my movies. I really think they have some of the best movie reviews of anyone on the internet. And I would love if Chapo Trap House watched one of my movies. So I was thinking about putting Will Menaker in there, and Brace, and Felix, and Matt. It'd be cool to have them in there somewhere, even if they were just playing themselves. But I think it'd be interesting to, cause like I'm gonna put Isaac Cappy in there, Tim Dillon. I want to put. There's a lot of different people. There's gonna be a John McAfee section of the movie. There's gonna be a lot of shit, man. There's gonna be a lot of stuff, and because I want to be able to push the deepfake stuff to its max. I think it's such a cool tool to be able to use, and it's because it's scary. Like, it's because it's fucked up that people are like, wait, you can't use my face and my voice. I didn't allow you to do that. It's like, exactly. Like, that's cool to me. It's very graffiti kind of punk rock sort of fuck you type stuff. And so I like that. But yeah, I would love, I'm going to try and put the Chapo Boys in there. I mean, I've already got 2/3 of Cumtown in there. And the only reason I didn't put Stavros in is because he's such a big celebrity now that it's like kind of more obvious. But like, I want to put Owen Benjamin in there. There's a lot of different people. A lot of people that are sort of conspiracy adjacent as well that I want to get in there. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Well, I'm pretty good at cloning the voices. But the big thing is, and for anybody out there that wants to get into this stuff, yeah, I want to put Kurt in there too. For anybody that wants to get into the AI stuff, when you're writing and using voice clone stuff, or just dialogue in general, just remember that people don't speak in dialogue. Most people go and you know what I mean, and kind of repeat themselves, and people just simply aren't as good at talking as most writers are. So if you want to sound natural and more realistic dialogue, you just have to kind of like simplify it and dumb it down and just sort of rearrange the words or whatever. So thank you guys, man. I really appreciate you guys. This has been a lot of fun. I promise I'm going to get my shit together and actually figure out a way to really stream, because it would probably benefit me more to do that. But it's just been a long fucking day, and it's going to be a long fucking day tomorrow and the day after that. I am literally Toilmaxxing right now. That's what my buddy told me, the producer of Letterhead today. He's like, dude, you're fucking Toilmaxxing. And it just means that I'm working my fucking ass off and it hurts and I'm tired and I'm still fucking broke and trying to figure this shit out. But you know, with God all things are possible. And yeah, man, just getting another chance to get a crack at it tomorrow is blessing enough for me. So I appreciate you guys. Go to my Patreon, give me money if you can. That'd be great. And yeah, I love you guys. I'm proud of you. Have a good night. Yeah.